And we're back. Hello, Nadine. How are
Hello,
you?
Luke. I'm good. I
Good.
am slightly jet lagged, but I'm good.
Yes. So I will come to that in a second because I want to ask you some questions about where you were. Um, Last week I was like, I did my 2022, 2022. That's the year we're in.
We
2022.
are in 2022.
Well, yeah, I did my review of like films and TV shows and stuff like that I liked and disliked. I did that last week, and then I was like, all right, I'm done for the year, guys. I'll see you next year. And then I think it was like that night. I think it was that night or the next day where all of the James Gunn, the
Oh,
Henry Cavill news dropped, and I was like, "You sons of guns! Like you couldn't have at least done this like 5 hours earlier when I could have talked about it, you know?" But and I just couldn't resist. And then when you were spouting off on Twitter, as I was, we were
as
both
I
spouting
do.
off. We were both spouting off. As the spouting off was going on, I was like, okay, we need to talk about it. We need to convene about this stuff.
I held off. I was holding off. I thought I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it because I've been slow. I think I've been slowly reducing my Twitter output
You have
because
been, I've noticed.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I can't deal with Elon Musk. So I've been slow. I've been reducing it. And then I saw the James Gunn stuff happen and I was like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna say it. And I was like, no, I have to.
Yep.
This is
I mean, that's the thing. Like
ridiculous.
I'm with you on the Twitter thing. Like I'm not really reduced my output on it, but I definitely do my best to not do anything remotely. I really try to stay away from political stuff now and Elon Musk. I try and stay away from it all. Cuz it's like, you know what? Twitter is the stupidest place to have any kind of serious discussion.
Oh, it's not meant for that. It's
No.
just meant for you to just spout off your thoughts. Which
Exactly.
which is how it should have stayed with your 140 characters. Say what you need to say and then
Yes.
leave. And
Yes.
then it's turned into this cesspool.
Yes. And I'm so dreading this four what was it 4,000 character um do you know about that?
I saw it, and
Yeah.
it was one of those occasions when I saw it and I just continued scrolling because I just thought to myself, no one needs to read an essay on Twitter.
No.
Twitter is
No.
not the forum for essays. If you
No.
want 4,000 words, I suggest you buy my book. Where you can get 4,000
Exactly.
words in a short bus. That's a good advert. Yeah, so that's what I suggest you
Exactly.
do.
Go buy what you got the Jigsaw Man, you got
Pixel
the
Man, Binding Room.
Finding Room.
We yeah, we got the kill list out next summer. So we
There you go.
yeah,
Are
don't
you
you
taking
don't need
pre-orders for the kill list or the
I am.
pre
I'm taking pre-orders from Kill List. So
There you
go
go.
ahead.
Get over to Amazon,
Please do.
the kill list, pre-order that, or pre-order it from wherever you like to buy your books.
Exactly.
Shout out to indies, all that stuff. I don't care. Just go buy a book. Just go
Go
buy
and
a
buy a
book.
book. Buy a book for Christmas.
Exactly. So you were in Japan last week.
I was.
How was
I was
that?
there. It was fantastic. I was there for 2 weeks. It's my third trip to Japan.
Ah,
First time I went was like way back in 2004, and I was in Kyoto.
yeah.
Then my brother, Gavin, moved there 9 years ago now.
Okay.
Yeah, so 9 years he's been in Japan with his wife, and then he had two children during the pandemic. And
Wow.
so
As
I
two
needed to
during the
see,
pandemic, two in that span. Oh my
yeah,
god.
two during this 3 year span. And then Japan only opened up their doors, their borders, like properly, I think back in
Yeah.
October. So I
Yeah.
went, yeah, so I went last, and they're just outside Tokyo. So
Nice.
I was out seeing them, did all the Tokyo things as well. Saw Mount Fuji, which is it never gets old seeing Mount Fuji. Even when you're
No.
just driving
Yeah.
along the motorway, it just looks
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I saw Black Adam again.
Oh my gosh, did you? Well,
Well, my brother wanted to see it, so I
we have
had
to
to
talk
go
about
watch it
Black Adam again tonight a little bit. There's some Black
a little
Adam
bit.
comments that have been made that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But
Yeah, a
yeah,
little bit. But yeah,
I
so
would
2 weeks.
go on.
No, so 2 weeks in Japan. They're 9 hours ahead.
Yes.
I spent 14 hours, nearly 15 hours on the plane. And because
Wow.
they can't fly over Russia, they had to go the other way around, which was around the Pacific Ocean, up over
W-
Alaska.
Right. No,
And
yeah. So okay, yeah, geez. So you had to
yeah,
fly over America and Canada and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, which
The
threw me
long
because I
way
was like, why are
around.
we going the opposite way? This makes no sense. And then
Yeah. And it's like, oh right, yes, because Russia are a bunch of, well, the
yeah, we
Russian
can't fly over
government are a
Russia.
bunch of jackasses.
They are that.
That's
Which
the
meant my
kindest
flight
word
was
I can
3
use.
hours. Which meant my flight was 3 hours longer than what it should have been. So
Oh,
a week
that's
later,
painful.
I'm still not.
Yeah.
I'm still not on UK time properly.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I don't blame you. I would love to go to Japan. I've never been. I have friends who
that's
live
cool.
there. I would, yeah, there's like there's a certain like subset of like pop culture stuff that is Japanese that I love. One being Godzilla. I've been like a huge Godzilla fan since I was a kid. Um so that's one reason like, oh, I'd love to go to Japan and see like Godzilla-y things.
Yeah, I when I went 3 years ago and we did the
Yeah.
whole Godzilla thing. So there are photographs of me somewhere online
Yeah.
standing there hugging Godzilla.
Fucking
And I
Godzilla.
remember we went to this, and it's so funny. It ties into what we'll probably talk about later.
Yeah.
We went to see Terminator: Dark Fate. Is that
Oh,
the last
wow.
one? Yeah,
Yeah.
and we saw it in the 4DX cinema. My brother wanted to see it, so we went to see it.
Uh,
And just outside the cinema, they had Godzilla climbing like on top of a building. I was
yes, I think I've
like,
seen that.
yeah,
Like pictures
and
of that.
it's just so random. You're like, oh, there's Godzilla.
Oh, I love Godzilla. Yeah, Godzilla's one. I was a small Pokemon fan, but I was more of a Digimon fan. I don't know if you've seen
Oh.
either of those things,
I have, I have.
but Digimon are my jam. I love that show. I love that show way more than Pokemon. All my friends were like into Pokemon, and I was like, "But guys, have you been watching Digimon? Like that doesn't count. That's crap." And I'm like, "You're crap.
It's
Digimon's
amazing what
awesome."
it's amazing where this show will take you.
I know, right? I know. I know. So, the big
Yes.
news that I think that we're going to discuss tonight is what I've called the whiplash of Henry Cavill returning as Superman and then suddenly his sudden departure from the role. Uh,
Did it happen
what
last
is
week?
going on?
Was it last week it happened?
Yeah, yeah, about a week and a half ago, a week ago. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, full disclosure, I have wine to get me through this today because what I found really, really annoying about the whole Henry Cavill thing
yeah.
was that I don't know if it was it a month before.
Pretty
I
close.
might be a little, yeah. He announces on his
Yeah,
Instagram page, which then gets shared throughout the world.
yeah,
He's back. He's got the cape back.
yeah,
There's going to be a Man of Steel, and then you get the standard rumors about what will be in the Man of Steel 2. And
yeah.
I know we spoke about it
We did.
at the last, yeah, about
Yeah,
what villain we'd like to see. So you
yeah.
have all this, and then you have, and because James Gunn is just, he's in place at that point, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah, he's in place at that point. And to allow that to happen, to allow
Yeah,
that, and now this is what pisses me off. You allow that to happen,
yeah,
and James Gunn is still on Twitter doing his little tweets and stuff, and like wait and see, wait and see, wait and see.
yeah,
And then last week you get this nonsense of, oh, we're no longer, Henry Cavill's like, I'm sorry, I'm no longer going to be Superman.
yeah,
And then James Gunn's announcing, oh, it's going to be a young Superman, and he's got his Superman script. And I just thought it was absolute bollocks. That's
yeah.
that's my grown up professional response to the whole thing. And like, this is absolute bollocks. Like, how dare you? And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I do remember, I think I said in the last podcast, which I thought would be the last thing I'd ever be doing this year.
For
I didn't
2022.
think I didn't think I'd be back. I didn't think I'd be back this year. I do remember saying I don't like James Gunn as a filmmaker,
Yes,
but
you did.
I will, I'm prepared to give him the benefit of the doubt to
You
see what he
did.
does with DC Studios. I've given him the benefit of the doubt, and as far as I can see, I was going to use a word, a more expressive word. You're just screwing it up. You're just screwing it up. That's my view. I am not impressed, Luke. I'm not
It
impressed
is
at all.
bizarre to me. Also, this is not a kid's show, so it's fine to use curse words.
He fucked it up.
He fucked it up.
I'm sorry. If my dad watches this later, I apologize. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what he
yeah.
did.
Oh, same with my parents. Sometimes they say they watch the show, and I'm like, oh, oops. But no, yeah. So I agree. It's so weird. Like it does. I totally understand the backlash that instantly came out on Twitter
Mm.
and elsewhere, where the fans were, they were so excited because he was finally back, and people have been. I mean, again in the Black Adam review, I mentioned my thoughts on the general DC EU that was shepherded by Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder,
Yeah.
as Mark Kermode always likes to, call it how he likes to pronounce it. And I've not been a fan, but I have been a fan of Henry Cavill. Like I think Henry Cavill was he was well cast,
Yeah.
but my opinion is their interpretation of Superman didn't allow him the freedom to really explore the character. It was just too murky and grim, and everyone has been hoping and waiting for him to have the chance to do a bright, hopeful Superman, right?
Mhm.
And what is so bizarre to me is, like I don't understand why they the DC WB producers would on the one hand be like, yeah, it's go and announce it, go tell everyone that you're back.
Yeah.
Why let the cameo? Why let the cameo be in Black Adam? They had to have known at that point that he wasn't
Black
going to be Superman.
Black Adam came out. I think it's the 16th of October.
Yeah,
And that's when Black Adam came out.
yeah. But Gunn was already in charge.
James Gunn, yeah, he's already in charge, and whatever, I can't remember what the guy's name is. Peter,
The other
whatever
guy.
his face is. Yeah, the other guy, Pete.
Pete.
Right. He's in charge as well.
Yes.
So you already know what's going on. You're already doing these you've already got these reshoots in place.
Yes.
Because I'm pretty sure Amanda Waller wasn't in the first cut of
Probably not.
Black Adam.
Probably
Right.
not.
So you got all these reshoots in place. You know exactly what's going on. And I'm sure by the time James Gunn comes in and says, this is what my plan is for DC films, that you have an idea of where he's going to go.
Yeah.
So to get from there to having Cavill announce it, and he's not just going to announce it because he woke up one day and thought it would be a good idea. He's got permission to do that.
Yeah.
And then a few weeks later say, oh no, sorry, he's not. It just doesn't make any sense. And
no,
I've said, I've talked about this a lot in my private circles. And what I've said is that I don't necessarily have a problem with James Gunn and the other guy saying we're going to reboot the universe.
Yeah.
And the way I see it, if you're going to reboot the universe, that's what the Flash movie's there for. You can use the Flash to reboot the Snyderverse, as I'm going to call it. That's what you could do. I have no problem with you doing that. I have no problem.
But are they even going to do that?
Well, this is the thing. This is what doesn't make any sense to me, because they're saying they're rebooting the universe. They're having a refresh of the universe. But the way I see it, Aquaman, Shazam, and even James Gunn's not very inferior Snyder Suicide Squad. For me, that exists within the universe that Snyder created.
Yes, it does.
So I don't know how you're going to continue on those.
I don't think
characters. You think they're just going to? That'll be the end of it.
Yeah, I do. I think that's the end of it, because it's interesting, because I guess it's all sort of kicked off with Wonder Woman, because you had
Wonder Woman 84 or
Wonder Woman 3. I don't know if you might have been. I don't know if you noticed or spotted it. You might have been in Japan, not paying attention, as is probably the best thing to be doing with all of this stuff. But Gal Gadot tweeted that one day. She tweeted, how much she loves playing Wonder Woman and cannot wait to explore the character more and do more adventures with her.
I saw that. I think it might be before.
It's like, I think it was the next day or within 48 to 72 hours later, all over the news is Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 script is canned. Wonder Woman 3 as it is dead in the water.
Yeah.
then there was all these rumors back and forth of Jenkins was offered a chance to rewrite it and she said no, and sent sent the producers a Wikipedia article on what a character arc is, and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you have no idea if any of this stuff is true. It's
It sounds
funny to
like the
hear.
kind of thing I would do. It's like, this is a character arc. This is a story arc. This is DC.
Yeah. I
Put
mean,
it
if
together.
she had done that, I would have been like, well, what happened to that in Wonder Woman 84, Miss Jenkins?
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, so there's all this stuff going on with that, and then it was just like, okay, this is dead in the water, and I remember tweeting about that and saying something along the lines of like, okay, well, fine, Jenkins is out, makes sense. Wonder Woman 84 was terrible. She was a writer on it. She refused to cut one of the two openings that the film has, because there's the Themyscira opening and then there's the mall opening. Both are the opening to a film, right? So the producers
I
told her to cut
remember.
one. So the
Oh, the
Themis
Themyscira one is with when she's a little girl, isn't she? And she does
Yes.
the race and she cheats.
Yes.
I think that's
Yes.
what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And like when what's her face, her not mom, but the other lady was like, "Oh yes, you shouldn't take shortcuts. That's bad." I'm like, I'm pretty
Lesson
sure
or
shortcuts
message.
are good. I'm pretty sure that it's fine to take a shortcut. You're not cheating if you're taking a short. Like, it's fine if it's there, whatever. But yeah, so then yeah, so then she, anyway, the rumors that yeah, she was told to cut one of those two openings, just not yeah, and she refused to do it. So you already got the sense that she got too big for her britches after with Wonder Woman 84, and then this news wasn't a surprise to me. But then seeing Gal Gadot's tweet, I'm like, oh man, what are they doing with this? Like, they're not going to get rid of Gal Gadot. Of course, they're not going to get rid of Gal
No.
Gadot. Of course, they're not. They're definitely going to now. Definitely.
But that's what I'm saying. The whole thing is just it's I don't even have words anymore for it. It's just so bizarre. Bizarre is all I have, because I did see the Gal Gadot tweet.
Mhm.
And I do remember, so I don't know where I was, but I do remember seeing
Yes.
Wonder Woman 3 is scrapped. I'm like, well, okay, if you're going to scrap the movie,
Yeah.
that's one thing, but you're still going to keep the actors in place. And then bearing in mind, we'd already had the Henry Cavill announcement,
Yeah.
I'm back as man, as Superman.
Yeah.
So you thought, okay, that Trinity is staying in place. And you're not hearing anything about Affleck and
No.
Batman. So you just think,
No.
okay, everything's staying in place, and whatever James Gunn's got in mind for the future, then
Yeah.
that's in mind for the future. But then you get this slow unraveling. And I think what pisses me off about the whole thing is that
Mm.
they don't just say, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And leave it at that and move on. Everything from James Gunn is these little Twitter
Yes.
posts in
Yes.
response to something.
Yeah.
Some of this is true, some of this is half true.
Yeah.
Some of this is lies, whatever.
Yeah.
His stupid tweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what I hate him at the moment. Whatever his silly tweet said. And it's like, instead of just saying, I'm not going to comment on this at the moment.
Yes.
Wait until December, whatever, and then
Yeah.
you'll get a full statement as to what's in mind for the DC
Yeah.
film studio franchise. But you get these little piecemeal things.
Yes.
And that's what I find annoying. So the way, I mean, if it was me, if I was in charge of the studio, if my whole thing
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm going to reboot everything.
Yeah.
Let Henry Cavill have his swan song.
Yeah.
Wrap everything up with the Flash. So you got Aquaman, you got Shazam 2. I think that's it. Whatever they've got in their
Yeah, that's
status.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you can wrap that up. That's all being wrapped up in 2023 anyway. And then I don't know what world Blue Beetle is taking place in. You have Blue Beetle, and you can do whatever the hell you want to do after that. To be honest, I don't really care anymore. I
No.
said to someone, I'm just going to stick to my comics because I know where I am with my comics. There's continuity and consistency, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find it all very deceitful.
It is
Underhand, and I don't like it.
It's very corporate. It's very, very corporate, and that's what I don't like about it. It's because I think you were mentioning the Aquaman and stuff like that, or maybe it's the Flash. Either one of those two, Gal and Cavill, I think have or had cameos, and
I
they've
think
been
it's
cut.
the Flash. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then I heard, this is the thing. It's all rumor and speculation a little bit. But Gunn doesn't help to that at all. He doesn't like put
Yeah.
a nail in the coffin and say, no, this is X and this is Y, and
Yeah.
leave it at that. So I think I heard the same thing. Cavill and Godot being cut from
Yeah.
Flash.
Flash. Yeah.
And then I heard, no, that's not correct. Godot's still in it. You're like, okay.
I mean,
Then you get,
maybe.
maybe. Then you get The Rock's Dwayne Johnson statement yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, wait. We'll come to that.
Oh,
We'll come to
okay,
that.
okay,
We'll come to that. Because obviously the other thing that's tricky about the Flash is like, what have they done with Michael Keaton's Batman? Is he even in it anymore? I don't even know what's going on with Michael Keaton. I isn't he done? Did they like cut him completely?
I thought they'd cut him completely because
I think so.
they'd cut Batgirl. Not
Yes.
Batgirl, I don't know what they've. I don't even know anymore. They'd got rid of that film.
Yeah.
And then before Gunn came in, it wasn't it that Affleck had come back, done the reshoots, and he's back in place instead of Keaton.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Which is just maddening.
It's just maddening because it's the lack of consistency.
Yeah.
And I know Gunn was saying today, I do pay attention. And then I was doing the podcast today with you, so
yes.
I have to read what the stupid man has said. But honestly, it annoys me. And I've forgotten my whole point now because I got
that's stupid man. I can't even think.
What was he saying? Oh, I can't remember. It'll come to me later. But I'm sure it was something to do with Flash.
It is nutty to me because what I would have thought, the Flash, as much as I despise Ezra Miller, that dude's a nut job. Like he just needs to. I don't understand how that film is still coming out. I am still baffled that that's still
Hollywood
coming out.
Is a strange place, as we can clearly see.
But I would have thought that would have been the perfect film to in a way Days of Future Past this whole universe in the way that Bryan Singer wonderfully concluded the Fox X-Men saga and allowed the sequels set in the past to then become their own thing because they're blatantly set in an alternative universe, alternative timeline, all that kind of stuff. I thought that's what would have happened here, which is why I was like, there's no way they're going to get rid of Gal Gadot. She's too perfect for this role. There's no way they're going to get rid of Henry Cavill. Like everyone wants him back, and this is their perfect chance to reboot it, ignore Man of Steel, ignore Batman v Superman, ignore all that stuff, and just start afresh with a familiar face.
Yeah.
Why they haven't done that? Because this actually okay. Well, we'll speak about Mr. Dwayne The Rock Johnson. What baffles me to no end is why in the world would Gunn say we want to cast a younger Superman, do a young Superman, but he still wants old man The Rock to come back and be who?
No, but it gets even worse than this. It gets worse than that. Okay, because I've had to keep an eye out on what the man has been saying. I can't even refer to him by his name anymore.
The man.
And what he said, or what I read, was that he wants the new universe to resemble, or to be based on the Justice League animated series and the Young Justice animated series. With that, my immediate response was, well, you're an idiot, because your whole thing was, we want a younger Superman. Fine, you're going to have a younger Superman. But if you're going to be based in a new universe on Justice League and Justice League animated series, including Unlimited, including Young Justice, Superman is not young in there. No. The Superman that you have is the same age that Cavill roughly is. And the Batman that you have is Affleck. It's basically your Snyder, your Snyder versions.
Yeah.
So what do you think you're doing? And also, if you know your comic book DC world, you've got 52 Earths to choose from. You can easily shut down, and not even shut down, just say everything is now taking place on Earth 3.
Yes.
And create your universe there. It doesn't have to be this, because it just looks very chaotic.
Yeah.
And the whole perception of DC. It's always not DC, of DC films, DCU, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Those who aren't fans, as far as they're concerned, are you just trying to be Marvel? You're just trying to emulate Marvel. And I've said it like a million times, is that they're not Marvel. DC are not Marvel, and they don't have to recreate what Marvel has done. And I think the problem, I was thinking about this last night, I think the problem with the executives who have been in charge of DC films is that they haven't had the courage or been prepared to let the films just grow organically.
Yeah.
Like, Captain America didn't make $1 billion. I think it
No.
made like 300 and something odd million on
Yeah.
release. I think Man is still did more, and I think Dawn of Justice made
Yeah.
over
Well,
700
this was
million.
again. This was all apart from Batman v Superman. This was all pre. This was all the only thing that had come out that was big was the first Avengers movie. There wasn't even Star
Yeah.
Wars when Captain America and all that kind of stuff was coming out, right? So Avengers
No,
was
of
like
course.
the biggest thing that came out in a long
Yeah,
time for comic book stuff. And WB wanted Batman v Superman to be Avengers level, and it wobbled and failed.
because they interfered.
Yeah,
which is
because
which is like the
yeah,
moral of the story, is like
yeah,
every time you interfere, you screw things up. And
yeah,
if you let things grow organically,
yes,
then you're probably gonna find, we would have got, 'cause when did Man of Steel come out? 2000
2013.
and 2013. We're in
Yeah,
2023 in a couple of, well, in 2 weeks, we're in
days. Yeah,
2023. So if you're taking that 10-year period and let the movies all develop organically,
yeah,
the same way you had the courage to let the Joker do its thing. Is it
yes,
Todd Phillips, the director?
yeah,
He did his thing with the Joker. You got your Oscars. Um,
yeah.
and what else other movies did you have? I can't even think.
Dunno.
But but that's the only. Oh,
Yeah,
and Pattinson's
the Batman. Yeah, the
Pattinson's son.
Batman.
Yeah, you got the Batman.
Yeah,
You don't feel like, you don't feel studio interference in there. You just let them do their thing.
yeah,
But with this universe
yeah,
that they try to create,
yeah,
I just see, like, yeah, we're happy in the beginning when we get the treatment, and then
yeah.
when we see the first, we let you shoot, but then all of a sudden someone somewhere starts to panic,
Yes.
and I suspect that probably went on with. I mean, I have several theories about James Gunn at the moment. None of
Yeah.
them good.
In the there's some comments, a couple of comments in the chat that I'll read
Oh,
out. Biffer. Oh no. We've lost Nadine for a second. Uh Oh my gosh, where's she gone? Where's she gone? I'm sure she'll find her way back in. Uh Oh, there you go. You're back. There you go. You're back.
I don't know what happened. I just disappeared.
Did. I don't know either. It was just like, phew, was like, "Oh, she's gone. Oh my god, what do we do?" But
I'm
yeah,
back.
so I was just about to read a couple of comments in the chat.
Like, just
What
like Superman, sorry, just like Henry Cavill came and went.
right? You had to go save the day somewhere. So yeah, Biffer in the chat. I know very little about these particular things, so I don't know if you know more about it than I do, Nadine. But Biffer says that The Rock played Cavill. The Rock pulled the rug out of Cavill's fans' hopes and dreams and crushed them. I don't know if there was tension between Cavill and The Rock. I remember there was some stuff about The Rock and Brendan Fraser and how The Rock kind of screwed over Brendan Fraser in the Mummy franchise by
Really?
there was something along the lines of like, and again, this is all like, hearsay Hollywood gossip nonsense,
Mm.
but there was something along the lines of they did the three Mummy movies and then they did like the Scorpion King movie.
Oh, that was shit.
It was bad, but the rumor or the suggestion was that the Rock was responsible for there not being a Mummy 4 and pushed it to get his own way, to get his own solo film. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's what was this kind of being floated out there. So I don't know if there's a everyone loves The Rock apparently. Like he seems at times he seems like a nice guy. So I have no idea. I'd have to meet him, have to sit down, have to actually discuss him to
Yeah.
find out if that's even remotely true. But I don't know if you have heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything about the Mummy. The only thing and it wasn't even like some random reporter making suggestions. It was just chatter
Yeah.
on various blogs and things, and you had fans calling out The Rock for they were basically saying you haven't shown any support to Henry Cavill since the news came out that he was no longer going to be Superman. Like you'd been very, very silent
Yeah.
on it. I don't know if I don't agree that The Rock played or Dwayne Johnson played Henry Cavill. And I only say that because I think The Rock's Johnson's mantra from the very beginning, even
He wanted
when
Cavill.
hmm?
He wanted Cavill. I was under the impression he wanted.
He wanted Cavill, and that everything he was doing in terms of getting Black Adam made and and promoting it is because he was listening to the fans.
Yeah.
And that was the ongoing like chant from all the fans when you had all the Snyder stuff going on, is
Yeah.
that you're not listening to the fans. So I don't think it would be in The Rock's interest to play
I
Cavill.
don't think so either. No.
It wouldn't have made any sense. And then obviously, you have Cavill showing up at the end, the Superman showing up at the end of Black Adam.
Yeah.
You're giving the fans what they want.
Yeah.
I think The Rock has been screwed over by James Gunn. I know he's done his statement, his very polite statement saying,
He did, yeah.
And Gunn and I have known each other for a long time, etc., etc., etc. But I think The Rock has been played by Cavill. So The Rock has been played
by Gunn. By Gunn.
Yeah.
By Gunn. Yeah.
Cavill's being played by Gunn. I don't know what Ben Affleck has over James Gunn at the moment for him to be like radio silent on the
Well,
Batman.
I think
it's all been very underhand.
Yeah. I think what's his face is done. Ben Affleck. I think he's been done since his original solo film got canned.
Yeah.
I don't think he was ever coming back. I really don't. I just don't see that. I never saw it happening.
Well, that's what I mean. But that's when it comes. I mean, everything comes back down to the Flash, because I think I said I may have read it where Affleck said, when he did the reshoots, it was a nice like ending or winding up of
his swan song.
Of his swan song with the Batman character.
Yeah.
So if you've got this whole winding up, why not just let it wind up with the Flash? Or you said give Cavill his Man of Steel too.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to go anywhere because it's on their own universe, and let Gunn do refresh his universe and take it wherever he wants to go.
Of course,
I just think that's the most straightforward thing.
Yeah. Thinking about it also, the Flash movie does have Supergirl in it. So, obviously she is not going to get any solo films anytime soon, or at least this version isn't.
Well, it's this version of her, but then this is the thing. It's like it seems to me like James Gunn doesn't have an understanding of how the DC universe works.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't want him going anywhere near the animated movies.
Yeah.
So I heard there was a rumor that they'll be in control of the TV animation and the movies. I'm like, no, you can just screw up the movies. I don't even need to watch it anymore. Just stick with the movie. Leave the animation alone.
There was a comment on Twitter that I wanted to run past you because I wanted to see what your thoughts were. So one individual makes the comment that they say rule number 1 of any comic book adaptation: give the fans what they want, right? And goes on to say, like, when you have an actor who embodies a beloved character so perfectly, you keep him, especially after you just announced him his return. #fire James Gunn.
See, I was very good. I don't think I did. I jumped on the fire James Gunn.
No, I didn't either.
I don't think I had to though. I think I was quite clear.
Yeah, but then someone kind of saw that and retweeted it, saying that they disagreed, and they just said, we just need to make good movies. That if fans had their way, we would never have gotten Michael Keaton Batman or Hugh Jackman Wolverine. And
that's true.
So, like, it's tricky because, like, I think both are valid.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. I think both are valid points. I think you have to listen to the fans.
Yeah.
But also you have to be courageous. I mean, I won't lie. When they announced that Affleck was going to be Batman, I was like, what?
Oh, I know, me too.
I was like, what? Ben Affleck? And then I saw him as Batman. I was like, no, he's perfect Batman for that age. Well. And Bruce Wayne, he did well.
He did.
So, and I think I get annoyed with the people who say, like, Cavill's not my Batman. Sorry, Cavill's not my Superman.
Yeah.
My Superman is Oh, what's the director's name from the 70s? Christopher Reeve's
Oh, Richard Donner.
director.
Christopher Reeves. Richard Donner. Christopher Reeves. Oh, you got again. Whatever button you're pressing, quit pressing the button. All right, Nadine just jumped off again. Biffer, another comment in the chat is Biffer, your prediction is that the next Superman is Cosmo Jarvis. Tell me why you think that. Tell me why you think that, because I know nothing about this. Ah, you're back. You're back.
I'm convinced I'm being hacked by somebody.
It's James Gunn. James
By
Gunn.
James Gunn, because this never happens. Like,
I know.
never.
I know.
I
No,
have
it's
to apologize again.
Richard
Oh
Donner.
my god. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, you get the fan base who say Richard Donner's, you know, Christopher Reeve, that's my Superman, because that's
Yeah.
the Superman I grew up with. And I'm like, well, that's my Superman. That's the Superman I grew up with.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, every generation is gonna have their Superman, their Batman.
Yes.
So I don't think we should be holding on to old
No.
incarnations of a character. You know, we should
Yeah.
be moving on. But I think, you know, what we were saying before, you know, listen to the fan, but you still need to move on and make changes.
Yeah.
But also, in the case of Henry Cavill, like, what the hell's wrong with you? It's like a very unique situation. And as you said, I mean, I've always said, like, the Man of Steel, that's obviously a completely different, a more darker interpretation of Superman and his origins and how he began. But then, you know, if you give him his trilogy, you know, his Man of Steel, his Batman and versus Superman, then give him his Man of Steel, you're gonna get to that hope
you could
that you see in the comic. I mean, that's easily the trajectory until you get to the craziness of, you know, Darkseid and Injustice. There's a whole thing that leads up to that.
Yes.
You know, if you know your comic book history, then there's a whole series of events. It doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
So I just felt I don't understand. I just don't understand it. It just doesn't make
There's a lot of people who do hold on to the Christopher Reeve Superman, and I understand it to some degree. Christopher Reeves is a great Superman. He is probably the one of the best on-screen portrayals of the character. He just nailed it. The way he goes from being this bumbly Clark Kent to being upright, tall, confident. You're like, wow, I buy this. And so I understand that, but you know, the great thing about Richard Donner's movie is that it really builds up to it, and we go from Clark being an infant, you know, on Krypton, to being a uncertain, confused adolescent, right? Being in Smallville, to then the last half of the movie being set in Metropolis with him being finally Superman. So there's already this interesting arc within that original movie that kind of covers all this stuff, right? So we can see his growth, where Man of Steel was one leg of the journey. It was a darker leg that I didn't really like, but as you're saying, we absolutely could have seen a more hopeful end at one point.
And I mean, I'll still say, you know, all those beats that you mentioned in, you know, 1970, whatever number it was, Superman,
78, yeah.
You know, I was only one, I was a baby. But you know, Krypton, adolescence, you know, discovering his past. You do get all of that in Man of Steel. Okay, it may be some people don't like it, but you get him knowing he has powers, you know. But it's the whole Jonathan Kent basically saying to him, like, don't use your power. You don't want to stand out and have people asking questions, and him battling all of that. So I mean, I'd argue you get all those similar beats are hit.
It's they are, but they're darker. It's a bit
they're darker.
Darker.
Yeah, they're a lot darker. But
let the kids drown, Clark. Okay, Dad.
But his dad dies in the tornado.
That was don't save the dogs or whatever it was.
But no, but that all makes him who he is. And also, I mean, to be fair, you know, that was 1978. This is 2000 and 10. The world is moved on. We can cope with a bit of darkness. You know,
We can a
let's
bit.
be realistic. We can cope with a bit of darkness.
We
But
can.
it would have been nice to see Cavill given his conclusion.
Yeah, because also speaking about that with darkness and stuff, like I love the show Smallville.
I know
Always
you
hold
do.
on to Smallville. Even that show, I mean, that show did a really. I mean, they had 10 seasons to build out Clark as Superman, and there are several episodes that are kind of darkish that show Clark being, you know, questioning
But
what
this
his
is
role is, what his hopeness, what his hope is, what his purpose is going to be. Um,
but
but
what I find yeah, but what I then find interesting is
yeah,
then that is they're very I'll say hands on or very they're
yeah,
unsure of themselves, the studios when it comes to
yes,
the movies.
yes,
But the darkness you said you got with Smallville sometimes. They still allow that in their current slate or their previous slate of DC TV shows. I don't
they
know. I
do.
don't know if I've
Yeah,
mentioned, yeah. And so I don't. I just find it very, very strange that you give the freedom for
yeah.
your TV shows. They can be as dark and I mean, if you ever watch Doom Patrol is off the wall. It's so off. It's so good, but it's so off the
Yeah.
wall. And then
Yes.
you watch Stargirl, which is made for
Yes.
everyone else. But even then, that had dark moments. I was like, oh my god, what's going on? Earlier series of Arrow when who killed
Yes.
when Arrow's mum was murdered. I can't remember who killed
Air
her.
was dark. That's yeah. I
Well,
can't
it
remember.
wasn't
Yeah.
Deathstroke. Was it Deathstroke?
I
No,
can't remember. But yeah.
yeah, but when Green Arrow's Oliver McQueen's Queen's mum got murdered, and you're like, it was so unexpected. So
Yes.
and Superman and Lois is a good show.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have these moments, and then I watch Pennyworth, and Pennyworth is I love Pennyworth. Pennyworth is violent as anything. For me, who writes what I write and
Yeah.
worked in what I've worked in, I have to turn away sometimes. I'm like, oh, I was not expecting that.
Mm.
So you allow all this freedom and this
Yes.
darkness to just live in the
It is
TV shows.
weird. I've never
It's very weird.
I've never understood it. I've never understood the disconnect between the way the films are run and the way the shows are run. I mean, again, just to because I'm going to bring up Smallville again. I just remember back in like 2006 when Smallville was on like I don't know season 5 or 6 or something along those lines, and the Brendan Routh Superman Returns was coming out.
Mm.
Like I remember reading reports at that time that they were like, one of the reasons like we never want to see Tom Welling as Superman because we can't have two Supermen. We can't have one on TV and one on in the cinema because it will confuse people. And
No.
I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like people can tell the difference between these two things. Now, I mean, side note, Smallville never wanted to have him as Superman. Like that was a
Yeah.
Smallville mandate. He was never going, which is why the finale is kind of limp because they do this like really close headshot of him as Superman, so you never see him in the suit. But like,
I think that's what frustrated me about Smallville the
yeah,
whole time.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
just come on. I know who
yeah,
he's meant to be. Just
yeah,
get
yeah.
us there.
The ending of Smallville definitely dropped the ball. It either should have been we never see him in the suit and they just do the chest rip at the end.
Mm.
Um, but they should have done these like far away shots of him as Superman or
Yeah.
like mega close ups where it's like Tom Welling's big old head filling up the whole screen so that you can't see this. That was a mistake. But but again, like you're talking about Arrow and elements of the TV show, The Flash, and these others, like they actually start off quite strong and they stay strong for a good couple of seasons, in my opinion.
Mm.
Some of them peter off after a
Yeah.
while, but they do seem to have like a singular vision. There seems to be someone who has a vision and they're executing that vision
Yeah.
well enough to build a
Well,
good
then,
fan base and make the fans happy.
well, that's what happened. You had, I know we're probably veering off topic, but you had Arrow, you had
Mm,
Flash. I mean, Legends of Tomorrow, I liked, and it just went a little bit weird. I
yeah,
found
yeah,
with the latest series, but you had those. What else did you have? I know then they had Stargirl. I never
yeah.
watched Naomi because I don't think they even got. I think they cancelled it.
I don't
But
even know what that is.
well, it's a new one. I think it'd come out last year.
Oh, okay.
But again, it's another DC. It's a new DC
Right.
character.
Yeah.
But as you said, you had these different spin-off shows, and they all form part of this universe. But they're all just allowed, as I said, allowed to grow organically and do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And the nonsense about you can't have two Supermans. You had two Flashes, and how the Flash series made it work
Oh,
when
yeah,
they did
exactly.
their Crisis crossover, which I thought was excellent.
Yep.
They had Ezra Miller come in,
They
and it was
did.
like, which and you understand, and if you're a DC comic book fan, you understand that because you understand the concept of multiverses. So
Yeah.
I think that the studio execs don't give the fans any credit. And
Yeah.
actually, I think they're kind of treating them like idiots. Say, oh, well,
Yeah.
you can't have two. Well, you basically you can,
Yeah.
because if you did, I think it's behind me. If you did Crisis on
Oh,
Infinite
Crisis. Yeah, I
Earth,
see it behind you. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you did Crisis, how many have you got?
Well, the thing
Going to different Earths to get help, and you literally got. I think even in the new Crisis, you got 3 or 4 Supermans
yeah.
occupying the same space. So
Yeah. The irony of all of this is now we literally lived in a point in time where there were 3 Supermen. There was Superman and Lois. They
yeah,
brought Brendan Routh back for that special,
Kingdom Come
and
Superman, he was very good.
and Cavill
You had Cavill.
was there, and in one of their crossovers, they brought back Tom Welling.
They
So
did.
all in
And
one year, we had multiple people, multiple versions of Superman on screen.
and
Which
no one was going on Twitter or whatever social media platform complaining that they were confused and they just couldn't cope.
yeah,
Like,
no,
if you're a fan, you're excited
yeah,
to see all the incarnation. And if you're a fan, I don't think anyone would have been pissed off if they'd said, "Oh, Gunn is going to do their new version of Superman." Fine, bring it.
yeah,
But it's the way it's been done. And I know a friend of mine she works in Hollywood, who's basically said, well,
yeah.
that's Hollywood for you.
It
I know
is.
that's Hollywood for you.
It
I
is.
understand that, but no one likes seeing how. I think that's what's annoyed people, is just how underhand it's all been taken.
Yes.
And it's also, it just shows disrespect, I
Yes.
think, to Henry Cavill as an actor, and also
Yeah.
to the characters.
I mean, I definitely feel that I'm not really one to scream for public apologies and stuff like that. I don't care. But I do think this is one instance where I'm like, you did let this guy announce it. You let Cavill announce it. You told him to
Yeah.
announce it. Well, whoever did, I guess it wasn't Gunn, but someone told him to announce it. There probably should have been some sort of clarity stroke apology of look, we
Yeah.
jumped the gun. We really hadn't solidified our plans yet. We know we made him look like a fucking idiot by announcing it, then having to come back and say, "Oh, I guess I'm not." That was bad.
Yeah. I think you just treated everyone. I think it just showed a level of disrespect that I can't get past. And I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
fans who were support, no matter how badly some of the films may have flopped, whether or not you liked what was it, Birds of Prey. I don't
Oh my
mind Birds
God.
of Prey, but I like Ewan McGregor. He made me laugh. But anyway, whatever your view is of the movies,
Yeah.
you were prepared to, you still offered your support. But I think with the way they behaved, they would have to do something so spectacular to regain back support and credibility. Because to me, you just made yourself look. You might as well have just kept it the way it was before Gunn got involved, because you haven't done yourself any favors.
No. Do you think it would have been better if just straight from the outset, Gunn and Petey, I don't know his name, call him Petey, would have been just like, hey, we're taking over. This is going to be a hard reset.
Yes.
Don't expect anyone to come back. When these films wrap up, that is the end of the Snyderverse. We're starting over, baby.
I think that would have been the way to do it.
Yeah.
I would put on my lawyer hat, and if I was in court, that would be my closing speech.
Yeah.
It would be, you're not gonna like it, but these are the facts. We're ending this universe. Say your goodbyes. We know how much you love these actors and their representation of the characters, but we're moving on, and let's just see where the future takes us. And that way, you're treating us with respect and giving us the fans and the actors, you're giving us a bit of dignity. But the
Yeah.
way they've done it, it just, to me, I said, whereas before I said I was prepared to give Gunn the benefit of the doubt. Now I'm just like, well, it's just an all big old ego trip for you. You just want to write your own version of Superman,
Yeah.
pull it out there.
What do you think of the statement that he made a couple of days ago?
What did he say? I
Did you
told you
see
I've been taking him in.
he basically he went on this is he tweeted this at 7:57 p.m. on December 19th, 2022. He says one of the things Pete and I were aware of when we took the job as heads of DC Studios was a certain minority. I really am
Oh, I
so
think,
sick of people
yeah, I did
saying
see that.
minority. Like, stop it. People online that could be, well, uproarious, unkind to say, and unkind to say the least. And then basically goes on to say that, we were going to do things that were going to upset people, and people are being mean to us, and we knew that was going to happen, but we're fine with it because we're used to that. We have thick skins, but but we really believe in our vision. That's essentially what he's getting at.
As my favorite word is, that's bollocks, because as I said, if you've done that statement in the beginning,
Yes.
so if you're taking extracts of that statement and said there's going to be things that you're not going to like, if they've done that in the very beginning and then announce
Yeah.
you're not going to have whatever they're going to do,
Yeah.
then people will be more prepared to follow you on the journey. Now, to me, that statement just reads, you're just throwing your toys out the pram because people are calling you out for the twat that you are. I don't want to get sued for defamation, but it's like people are calling you out, allegedly. People are calling you out for your nonsense and your
Alleged nonsense.
mistreatment. Alleged nonsense. I should know better. And your alleged nonsense. And now what you're doing, you're tying in this minority of fans that scream. You're basically saying, oh, it's the Snyder fans.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, because the same Snyder fans who maintained there was this version of a film that existed and they wanted to see the film and they got what they wanted and they did good things, I mean, obviously you're always going to get your loons. The Marvel universe has crazy, every Star Wars and Star Trek, there's absolute lunatics
yes
out there who I'm a fan, but there's sometimes you look at them and you're just like, you just need
calm
to
down.
breathe. Yeah, exactly. Like you just need to calm down.
Yeah.
But what Gunn was doing, he was tying in this minority who have told him, like, you're an ass for doing what you did.
Yeah.
Tying them into the Snyder fans. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then he's throwing his toys out saying, we're just trying to do a good thing. Well, it's the way you've gone about it, which is the problem.
I think what bugs me as well with that statement, and I feel like I see this a lot of times. I feel like Disney like make their bread and butter off of these kind of comments and statements. And actually thinking about a Gunn coming from Disney Marvel, that actually makes sense that he's using that now. But like, I don't like it because I saw it with Rings of Power. I saw it with various Marvel films, whether it's been Captain Marvel. You saw it with the Obi-Wan series. You see it with some of the newer Star Wars movies where there's anytime there's any level of criticism that a lot of times, in my opinion, is quite justified. The studio backlash is automatically to say, oh, there is just a small vocal minority of people who are just being mean and da da da. It's like, well, actually, maybe the criticism is valid. And instead of trying to blame the people criticizing you, like, maybe you need to think about what it is that you're doing. And like, so for Gunn to be like, well, we knew there'd be a minority of jackasses out there. Like, all that's going to do is just make people mad at you. Like,
it makes people, because it just shows there's no self-reflection. There's no acknowledgement. And I've always said, people, when it comes to life and how you interact with people, when you do wrong, well, someone perceives that you've done wrong to them. Sometimes what they're not necessarily looking for an apology.
Yeah.
But they do want some kind of acknowledgement of what's taken place.
Bingo. Yeah.
And with what Gunn's doing, you blatantly ain't getting an apology. There's no acknowledgement of, actually the way we've gone about things has caused some discontent amongst the fandom.
Yeah.
And he hasn't helped himself
at
all. So moving forward, he's not, someone like Dwayne Johnson, some people may mock how he does things, but he knows how to, the word I'm looking for? But he knows how to engage the fans. He knows how to
Yes.
engage the fan base
Yes.
and to give them effectively what they want.
Yeah.
Cavill, perfect. You know, he's like the world's biggest geek. I mean, I spent 20 minutes, I'll openly admit, I spent 20 minutes watching the man build a PC on Instagram. It's
Did
like
you?
the biggest, yeah. I mean, this is like during lockdown. This is like
All right.
my brother builds PCs. I never sat in a room and watched him build a PC. I was like,
Well, I'll watch Henry Cavill do it.
you watch Henry Cavill build a gaming PC.
Oh,
But the
God.
point is, you know, he's like one of the world's biggest nerds. He knows what he's talking about, but also, again, he knows how to engage
Yeah.
with the fans. And that is something that Gunn does not know how to do. And
Yeah.
what he's doing, he's still riding on the popularity that he got from directing Guardians of the Galaxy and
Yeah.
that support that Marvel gave him. And then, I mean, what I find interesting, so you don't know what's in this world at the moment. You don't know what's true, what's
Yeah.
just speculation, or what's just a blatant lie.
Yes.
And I don't know where I saw it somewhere, and
Mm.
they were saying how many different directors and stuff were approached about heading DC films before they got to Gunn. And I was like,
Yeah.
I actually think that might actually be a point because Gunn wouldn't have been my first choice.
He would not have been mine either. No.
It wouldn't
No.
have been a choice, to be fair.
Probably not. I agree with that. I liked. I'm not gonna lie. I did enjoy his Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad. There were.
We would
I,
disagree.
I liked it more than the first one. I really really did not like the first one. It didn't have a story. It was just, to me, the first one was terrible. It needed massive rewrites to me.
I was saying that about the second one. I thought the second one was a load of nonsense. But
I
I
mean,
like the first
it
one.
was nonsense, but I kind of bought into it a little bit more.
Mm.
I don't know. I think I liked. I think the problem with the original Suicide Squad is that maybe it's partly down to the fact that they had a trailer company edit the movie, which made it unwatchable. So like you have multiple introductions to the characters and their powers. Like you basically go over the first 10 minutes of the movie, 10 15 minutes is all of the characters being introduced and what their powers are. And then the movie repeats that all over again. And you're like, I've just seen you introduce these all over the place. Like you've done it twice with
Yeah.
everyone.
But what they did, I mean, with that whole approach, that is literally Assault on Arkham, the animated movie. Literally the intro to their characters. That's literally that's the animated movie. I mean,
Twice?
I don't remember it being twice.
It was twice. It's twice. You had the
When did
moment.
they do it the second time?
First you have the moment with Amanda Waller when she's sitting down at the table and she's like and they do all these like kind of like cards, like stats.
Yeah, because that's literally like the
So
animated.
they did that. That's the first intro. They do it with everyone once. They do that with them. Then when they all meet each other, they
when they did the
go through it
prison
all over again.
Yeah.
And you're like, I already know who you are. I already know this.
But I think I mean my thing with I like Suicide Squad, but with that as well, when you listen to what David Ayers has said about his whole experience with it and his whole tweets, which is this is not my movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's
true.
Which
so on that respect, it just goes back. You know, we just keep going around in circles.
It's too much studio meddling.
Yeah, you keep meddling. You keep interfering.
Yeah.
You keep dictating how you want things to be done without actual not understanding what's actually taking place.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, and then it makes me think. I don't know what Kevin Feige's history was prior to
what he was prior to Marvel.
Studio. Yeah,
he was a producer. He produced various. I think he worked with Richard Donner's group of people because he was a producer on a lot of the original Marvel movies. He was there
Blade
on
and
he was there on I think Blade, definitely X-Men. He's
okay.
If I remember right, he's the one who suggested Wolverine doesn't wear a mask, but they style his hair to look like the wolf. Like he was the one responsible for that. Kevin Feige is maybe he is not the genius I think he's made out to be.
No, I think, don't get me wrong, I've always said no matter what I think about
Yeah.
current slate or the most recent
Yeah.
Marvel movies. I said
Yeah.
I've got no issues with their plan and how they constructed their universe. Like,
Yeah.
I'd have to be a fool to sit here and say I don't agree with any of that. They did it wrong.
Oh
I
yeah,
think he
no.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did it. He did it perfectly.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a genius, and
No.
I think at the moment he's now become bigger
Yeah.
than the studios, if that makes
Yes.
sense. Bigger than, I mean, when you
Yeah.
we go back to the whole She-Hulk,
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
then yeah, he's become bigger. So
Yeah.
he thinks he is Marvel as opposed to no,
Yeah.
you're just
Because
someone who allows Marvel to
it really
exist.
wasn't Feige who did any of the like he did some of it, but like he had John Favreau. John Favreau was really the
See,
godfather of the
this
MCU.
is who I would have. You need a John Favreau
Yeah.
person
Yeah.
to head a studio. You know what he's done with, The Mandalorian with Star Wars.
Yeah.
That's what you need. James Gunn is not that person.
No.
I feel like Favreau, he understands the universe in which he's working in, but
Yeah.
he allows his directors to have their freedom and do what they want, which is
Yeah.
why, some people don't like The Mandalorian. I enjoy The Mandalorian. But,
Season
when
1
you
I
look at,
really like. I really like season 1.
yeah, and I love that. I loved Andor. But, when you see
Mhm.
each individual directors who have taken control of the episodes, you can
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
they're complete stories in themselves, because as far as I can tell, no one's been knocking on the trailer door
No.
or like grabbing their notes and marking, redacting things and saying you need to put I don't know, a baby Yoda here. It's just,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think that's probably what I don't think James Gunn can give DC what DC want.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what he does
I'm not.
because this has been well. It's more out of like morbid curiosity now because I'm like, well, you've really screwed some people over, and you've really angered a lot of fans, and then then you have other people that are kind of pro gun, basically telling people to oh cry harder, this is the deal. And I'm just sort of like, well, that's also quite flippant. And then other people are like, oh, it's fine. Cavill will just get some other role doing something else, and he'll get paid money for doing that. Da, 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 da. And I'm like,
What's
well,
the
you're
point?
missing the point. There were people
What's in
who
the point?
really cared about him as Superman, and what was done to him felt like not just an insult to him, but an insult to his fans. And that's why
It's
people are so frustrated with it.
It is.
Like,
I think that's exactly it.
yeah,
And I know I've said it repeatedly. I got no issue if you saying we're going to reboot the universe, because you kind of accept you're bringing someone else new in. It's
yeah,
like anything, you get a new manager at your
yeah,
job, and they're saying we're
yeah,
gonna we're
yeah,
gonna change things.
yeah.
Look at Elon Musk and his nonsense.
Ugh.
Anyway,
Elon Musk rat.
sorry. So,
That's all right.
hopefully you get someone in who knows what they're doing. But there's times you get an idiot.
Yeah,
And I'm not even going to lower it down by saying you get a monkey running the circus, because monkeys are quite intelligent. You
yeah,
just get fools
yeah,
running
yes, yeah,
running the circus, and they don't know what they're doing, because their expertise is in different areas, and sometimes your expertise, and if we look at Musk, your expertise in running SpaceX and
yes.
Tesla, you know, being looking at tech, that doesn't necessarily translate to
Social
something
media.
that's customer facing.
Yeah,
If that
yeah,
actually deals with emotion, it's not just dealing with ones and zeros.
yes, yeah. No, it's very
And
true.
yeah, and with Gunn, I just think that you failed to respect the people. And
I think so.
that's what people, that's what fans are going to remember, and the mistreatment. I mean, I'm upset I won't get to see more Dr. Fate. I really liked Dr. Fate.
I mean, that was the thing. Him and Hawkman were the only
Yeah.
things I really liked about Black Adam. I thought, oh man, give me a film with these two guys.
Yeah,
Like,
I would all day long.
yeah,
So, and I think as well with the whole James Gunn thing, I think you've taken, okay, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna
yeah,
say, right, you know, whatever decision has been made, it's been made.
yeah,
We're not going with Cavill. You're taking too long now to announce your slate. It's no good just saying we're going with a younger Superman,
yeah,
or now drip feeding this. oh, we're going to be looking at, and I think they're only saying that to appease people like me by saying, oh, it's going to be based on Justice League. Mate, I'm
Yes.
sorry. It's like, that is not going to make me happy because
No.
Justice League was epic in what it did. I'm talking about the animated series. So
Yeah.
if
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
you need, it's not easy to recreate that on
No.
screen. So
What I
if
don't.
they come with a concrete, so if they come with a, this is our
Yeah.
plan,
Yes.
this is our slate. Like if they've done a Disney Expo
Yeah.
23,
Yes.
this is what we're doing. You'd be
Yeah.
like, okay, you're not even doing that. You're just
No.
dropping some tweets because you're in a mood.
Right. And like what I don't understand again with all this is it is interesting. It kind of goes back to those tweets I was reading earlier where someone's like, give the fans what they want, and the other person be like, no, don't give the fans what they want. But the thing is, there are certain things that the fans want that you're stupid to not give it to them. One of the things, A, being Cavill, keeping Cavill Superman, but the other thing is how many years have fans been like, give us Batman Beyond with Michael Keaton? They had Michael Keaton back. They actually had him back for a whole film and a TV
You
show.
paid the man. You have paid the man. The man has filmed. I mean, he's made his money, whatever. But you've paid the man. You've taken time.
Mhm.
I don't. It's just, and this is what I think I said in my tweet that I'm not going to say it went viral. I think I don't know 300 tweets is retweets or likes is viral, but it's like a
People- Man,
little.
I'm like, I get 10 likes. I'm like, it's viral. It's viral.
I go mini viral, but I always get like the upset fanboys who go, you don't know what you're talking about. But
Oh, right.
all I said was I think I posted it was like different images of Henry Cavill and Superman.
Yeah.
And then I think I posted the killing, no, I don't know if it was a killing joke, but it was some comic book covers. And
Yeah.
I simply said that this is the problem with Warner Brothers. No, the problem is when companies don't know how to utilize, they don't understand their products, they don't know how to utilize
Yeah.
their product. And then I said, I'm talking to you, Warner Brothers and James Gunn.
Yeah.
Like I tagged them. And then you got the shots fired.
Yeah.
People like
Shots
retweeting.
fired over the bow.
Yeah, for me. Then you got you don't know what you're talking about. But I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
To me, you're showing a fundamental lack of understanding of
Yeah.
your products. I
Yeah.
mean, I understand it's a business.
Yeah.
Even as writers, we understand, it might
Yeah.
take a little bit of getting used to, but we understand it's a business. So you need
Yeah.
to understand your business and how it works in the
Yeah.
wider world.
Yeah.
And also, but you also need to understand with something like whether it's DC, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars or anything, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like you have to understand how,
Yes.
or Dragon Ball Z is like a perfect one.
Well,
Like even
actually,
Dragon
you
Ball
mentioned
Z, yeah,
Sonic though. Like I
yeah.
personally, I think both of those films are borderline garbage. But
Hey, they were fun.
but 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 let me but they did listen to the fans
Yep,
when it was right to listen to the fans.
exactly. They listened to the fan, it's right to listen to the fans. And then also they knew how to then take the mickey out of themselves. If you've ever
Yes,
watched it, I think I told you the Chip and Dale
exactly.
movie.
Yep.
My other brother watched it the other day and he said to me, that was actually funny.
Yeah.
And they had to take the piss out of themselves by
Yes.
the error that they made.
Yeah.
And this, I said, whatever universe you're operating in, so whether it's
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, the comics, Dungeons and Dragons,
Yeah.
any Warcraft,
Yeah.
they're because they have such a strong fan base, and they didn't just come out the ether. They've been something that's been established for
Yes.
decades.
Yes.
You do have to listen to the fans somewhat. I don't mean the crazy loony ones, but you
Yeah.
do need to listen
Yeah.
to the fans because they do know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they start announcing. Will I be rushing to the cinema to go see it? Who knows? You know.
I'm being very stubborn now. I'm being very stubborn and unreasonable. I'm not behaving like a professional person right now. I am not. I'm not seeing anything with James Gunn's name on it.
As in you're not going to pay to see it, so you'll like see it on streaming or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not spending pick and mix money on
Fair
it.
enough. No, that's
That's
fair enough. I mean,
that's it.
I probably won't either. I guess there's also questions of what will happen with the Batman sequel.
Well, this is the thing, and this is the thing. You don't know what is rumor and what is truth. And then
Mm.
I said sometime in James Gunn does a
He shot
sequel.
down the idea that Pattinson's Batman was he wanted to incorporate it. He shot that down.
You're not listening to people. He's not listening to people.
Yeah.
He's not
Again,
listening.
I'm like, wait, Pattinson's Batman, like people kind of liked it. It worked well enough. It was way too long of a movie. Gosh darn it. Cut like
No,
40
it was
minutes
too
out of that
long.
thing.
It was a bit too long. And
Yeah,
I mean, I can
but
sit through a long movie, but you said it has
yeah,
to make use of the full story arc to be.
totally. Like I
Yeah.
sat through Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that's what 4 hours long. Like I sat through that and I was fine. I sat through the Batman. I was like, oh come on, you're dragging guys. But
Yeah, I've sat through Watchmen, the director's
yep,
cut.
yep,
And this is the thing. You did what you thought they would have learned from Watchmen. You make these movies, you release these movies, you moan about these movies,
yeah,
then you release a director's cut, and then they create this whole cult
yeah,
behind them.
yes,
Back to, I know I'm jumping in, but go back to Snyder Cut as well.
mm,
You release it on
mm,
HBO Max, and then
yeah,
you do your digital sales, and it hits top. It becomes a
yep,
number one bestseller like everywhere.
yes.
Why are you not taking note of that?
Yes, it is strange. It is strange, but again, also thinking about like we were talking about earlier about the Flash being a good place to reboot the universe, but also you already have the Batman. That's another
And
really good place.
you've got the Batman, and if you're looking for your Rotten Tomatoes, if you care about that stuff,
Mm,
like high scores,
yeah,
you got that with the Batman. You got your critical acclaim. But to be fair, you even got your critical acclaim with, which I was surprised at when they released the Snyder Cut. Like the critics
true.
were giving they were giving it their 3 and 4. I don't know if
Yeah,
anyone gave it 5, but they were giving it their
yeah,
high star. So if you're
yeah,
looking for that, you can see how you can get that. Which is
yes,
why, to me now, this whole thing with James Gunn, to me, it's all just an ego trip now. It's not even about
yeah,
doing the best thing for DC. It's just about feeding your own ego.
yes.
And you did your poor man's Superman with Brightburn. So now you want to try and put a legit. I'm being a bitch now.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to be like you want to put a legitimate stamp on it with a Superman and DC flag.
Your shitty Brightburn movie that nobody saw. I've never
I'm
seen it.
def-
I know about it, but I've never seen it. It's
I'm definitely not getting a job at DC Films. I don't want a job at DC Film. I just want a DC Comics gig.
there you go. I guess the thing is, would I guess this is all really down to Guardians of the Galaxy. He probably wouldn't have this gig without Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, he wouldn't. What did James Gunn do? God, it's really turning into slagging off James Gunn hour. What did James Gunn do before Guardians of the Galaxy?
He did that really nasty superhero movie, Super or something like that, with Rainn Wilson, and Ellen Page. Very violent. It's kind of like a rated R version of Kick Ass, and it is super gory, super violent. Yeah, I watched it and I felt very uncomfortable the whole time. It was so the story just is quite hateful. Um Outside of that, I guess he's done other things that I've never seen. Which
I'm Goog- I'm googling
yeah.
Super Brightburn, Scooby
Yeah.
Doo 2,
Yes, Scooby Doo 2.
Sliver.
That's right. Never saw that though.
He did Sliver.
That's the
I'd
big
never
one that
seen.
people talk about. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Super. That came out in 2010. It's an hour and a half. Oh, it's got 49% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's funny.
right. The only reason he's where the only reason why he's where he is because of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But if he'd done if he'd done a similar movie outside of that MCU universe, I don't think you and I would be having this conversation. And
Right.
I don't think DC would even the Warner Brothers, I should say, Warner Brothers Discovery would even have thought about approaching him and for
Yeah.
to head the studios, which
Yeah.
makes me rather suspect they did probably ask a bunch of other people. They
Probably.
should have just asked me.
They should have
I would have
done.
done it.
But also DC did start cultivating that friendship or relationship with him the second Marvel fired him. Because remember, Marvel fired him for a hot minute.
I do, which is why I'm being very careful because I don't want to be sued for anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, Marvel fired him because of old
Because of
tweets.
very old tweets, which I thought was
Very old
pathetic
tweets.
and juvenile of Marvel.
Oh,
In
to
my
fire him for it.
Yeah. Yeah. They're 10-year-old tweets.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I understand that.
we do have to allow the chance for time and change.
Yeah.
Was he still tweeting similar things now? What? No, he wasn't. Far from that kind of
No,
stuff.
but then it just goes to show you. I mean, I ain't gonna go into the
Yeah.
tweets and what.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sued, and it's
No.
Christmas. I mean,
Allegedly.
I'm always very wary of people who have got time to dig through your tweets.
Oh, it's
Like I
insane.
don't understand who has the time and inclination to do that, but people do.
Yeah.
And they fired him for it.
Yeah.
But then the nature of this is what I say, Hollywood is a very fickle thing. And
Yes.
it's very superficial. And sometimes they do things just to save face because 5 minutes later,
Yes.
he's back on.
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
And people's morals, they have morals. They take a moral standpoint when it suits them. The minute it goes against something that they feel personally invested in, all of a sudden it's perfectly okay.
Yes.
So I mean, my thing is that if you're going to fire him, you keep him fired.
Yes.
Because your whole basis to doing so was Disney is a family company, and these tweets are not really family orientated and go against everything that Disney believe in endorsing. So if you're gonna fire him, you keep him fired. But then to go back on it just shows the hypocritical nature of this whole industry. Which then, fast forward a couple of years and we're here where we are now, and you further see another example of the hypocritical nature and the nastiness of it all.
Yeah. No, it's not cool. It's kind of uncomfortable. It's a bit sleazy. Allegedly, I guess.
And I wonder if he's fired his wife.
What if he's fired his wife?
Well, his wife was she was in Suicide Squad. She's in the Peacemaker series, and then she pops up in Black Adam. I'm just saying.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Well, I'm sure she'll come back in another form.
Yeah, I'm sure the multiverse will suddenly take over.
The multiverse will rain down. Oh look, it's another. There we go.
I need to be nicer. It's Christmas.
Well, no, yeah, we've been nice enough. I don't think we've been too hard on him. Again, like we said earlier, I think it just would have been much smarter because at first I didn't really care that Gunn and Petey McPetey had taken over, but they really should have thought, okay, well, we need to make sure we don't piss people off, so let's just say, hey, we're doing a hard reboot. I don't know why they just didn't just start with that, because who knows what they I mean, I guess the thing to remember, which I guess is a positive. Oh no, I guess is he writing the new Superman movie? Gunn is writing the new Superman movie, isn't he? Okay.
I mean, he's basically doing the equivalent of me. Slag off everything, and then look, here's my movie. It's just what he's doing. He's written his version of
that's right.
Superman. I think that's what I heard. I think it's one of my brothers said to me.
That's right. He is writing the Superman movie. Yeah, he is.
Apparently, they said he gave his treatment after. This is what I was told.
Right.
And from my brother who watched some other podcast thing.
Right.
That they announced Cavill and it was all going for Cavill. That's what they're going to do. They're going to do their Man of Steel. They're going to now seek out Man of Steel 2 scripts.
Yeah.
And then James Gunn produced his treatment or his plan for his version of Superman. And then Pete, the other guy whose name we're not quite sure who it is, said, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. We have to go with this. Let's forget Cavill." So that's what's being circulated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but I still think this is now just a bit of an ego trip, and what you can't alienate a fan base.
It doesn't
It's not
do. It's not a smart thing to do. It's not.
no,
I mean,
not at all.
if you think about just think about this last year alone, like like I mentioned, I think I mentioned some of it in my 22 review roundup stuff. Like Rings of Power was one of the most alienating bits
I
of
haven't finished
franchise.
watching it.
It's awful. It's not Lord of the Rings. It wasn't made for Lord of the Rings fans, and it was made for pure virtue signaling. Like it 1000% was. All of the media build up to it was about trying to like combat like I don't know, people are like, "Oh my god, they don't like this show because there's women in it." No, that's ridiculous. Everyone is watching House of the Dragon and loving it.
House of
And that
Dragon was amazing.
it was. And it's like that's a show with a mixed cast with women leads. Everyone's loving it. No one likes Rings of Power because it's shit. Like, and you just don't want to admit it. Like,
I
you
mean,
didn't make Peter Jackson quality Lord of the Rings. You made fucking Hardy's McDonald's version of Lord of the Rings.
don't get me wrong. I mean, no one wants to be told that their work is shit. I mean, it's a reason why I only read my reviews that are 5 and 4 stars. Like, no one ever wants to read the one unless it's really completely off the wall, back crazy.
Yeah.
But no one wants to be told that their stuff is shit. So you understand if there's a certain response to that.
Yes.
But as you said, sometimes when the response just further alienates the people who you are trying to appeal to, you're not doing yourself any favors at all.
No. And then when when your your Amazon review for like say Lord of the Rings of Power is 3.3 out of 5. That's not good.
Oh, I've got a higher rating than them.
Some of my old books have higher ratings than that. Like it's ridiculous. IMDb 6.9 out of 10. Like it's bad. No one liked it. And the thing is, it was this thing where it's like, no, this is where you need to listen to the fans. They didn't want you're trying to like do something. You're trying to use this as a political vehicle, and that's what people don't like, right? Like, and that's why Rings of Power, in particularly, didn't work. And it's a perfect example of like, here's what happens when you do everything the fans don't want you to do because you think your idea is better than what you think. It was the arrogance of these creators thinking that they are better than Tolkien. They were like, this is the story that Tolkien never wrote. So you're basically comparing yourself to Tolkien. Fuck off.
Well, that doesn't make any sense.
No.
And I mean, I'm not thinking of what's it called again? Power of the Rings?
Rings.
I couldn't even get
Rings of Power. You don't even know the name.
No,
so
because
forgettable.
I watched the first.
Rings of Power.
They dropped the first 3 episodes, didn't they?
They dropped the first 2.
Was the first 2?
Yeah.
And I watched the first 2. I don't know. I cannot remember if I watched the third one. and this is the thing about shows. Like I remember with Andor, I watched the first episode of Andor, but I was kind of like half watching it, and I was tired, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, but I always knew I'd get back to it, so I downloaded them all on my iPad, and then when I was on the flight back, I watched like 9 episodes of Andor in a row, and I was like, oh my god, this is the way to watch it. Because sometimes it's just a case you just need to settle into it and get into the story, but there still needs to be a pull to the story. And with Andor, I was hearing a lot of chatter of, once you get past the first episode or even the second episode, it's so good, and the reviews were coming out good. I never got that with Rings of Power.
Oh no, you didn't. No, not at all.
No, I never got that. So I've never had an inclination to let me finish it because there's, I don't think I even saw like not IMDb. Whatever the other one is. Who would no, there's another one that I follow, like IGN. I think it's IGN. Yeah. I didn't even see like an IGN like this is our rating, like 8 or 9 for each episode. There was none of that, so there was nothing to feed off. So I've had no reason to watch it. When I said with Andor, I was like, okay, I need to watch this. And once I watched it, I was like very upset. It was so good. I finished it on Saturday night. And because I'm jet lagged, I had dreams that Darth Vader was in my dreams. It was very odd. I don't know what was going on. And then I had to watch Star Wars Rebels. I'm rewatching that because I wanted to stay in that world. But
Yeah.
that's what good TV and movies, that's what they do. When they
Yes.
finish, you still want to be part of that world.
Yes.
And I would have liked, I don't have any confidence that
Mm.
Gunn is going to make me want to be part of that world. I still want
No.
to see Blue Beetle though. I want to see Blue Beetle,
Yeah.
and I want to see
I mean, I
Aquaman.
guess is that his film or is he just
No,
yeah, yeah, no. So
that's not his.
I'm assuming this will be a one and done. They're not gonna use Blue Beetle to start their universe. Boy, wouldn't that be hilarious?
Well, it depends how good Blue Beetle is. Sorry. But the thing is, all my knowledge of Blue Beetle is from what I've read and
Yeah.
what I've seen in the animated stuff. There's like, this is the thing, when you're a fan, you want to see a live action adaptation of.
Yeah.
What do you love, and what would you be excited to see live action?
That's tricky. I feel like the ones that I love the most have been done. X-Men are my favorite. X-Men and Spider-Man are my two favorites. So
Yeah,
I've seen the two things that I love the most adapted. Some great, some not great at all.
like Spider-Man 3 with Venom.
You know, I tell you what, I would much rather take Spider-Man 3 than any of the other Spider-Man movies that came after.
See, I know people mock it, but I didn't actually mind it, and I didn't actually mind Venom and how they approached him. And I'm talking about the Tobey Maguire one, not
No, I know. I think
yeah,
Sam
for the
Raimi
people
did
out
that
there.
film on purpose. I think he did it to get back at the studio
Yeah.
because he didn't want to do Venom. The studio made him do Venom. He his plan was to not do that. And I think when he was being forced to do things that he didn't want to do, because there is such a tonal difference, a stark tonal difference between Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 3.
Three's like 1 and 2 is like
3 is the
you're given a
director being like, "Screw you
yeah,
guys."
yeah, yeah. 1 and 2 is like you did your first project at school
Yeah,
and you did it really well. And I was like, oh, you do the same thing again. And so you
yeah,
do the same thing again, you're still excited about it.
yeah,
The third one is like, yeah, we like what you did, we want you to do this. And you're like, I'm not doing that. Like, it doesn't even make any sense.
yeah,
So you create this nonsense. I
yep,
mean, you hold up Toby Maguire 1 and 2, and then you hold up Toby Maguire 3 next to each other. They're not even like
yep,
the same person. He doesn't come back until No Way Home. You're like, oh, there's the
yeah.
Toby we know with his bad back.
It was a bad pack, yes. No, it's true. To me, I legit think if I could ever have a sit down conversation with Sam with no one around and be like, "All right, man, tell me. This is my theory. Am I right?"
What
Okay, I
happened?
I gotta I've got to be right. It doesn't make sense.
No, no, and I think you are right because when you see, and this is what I say about
Yeah,
consistency, and when you allow directors to do what they want, and when you see such a marked difference,
yeah,
something has definitely gone wrong. I
yes,
mean, no matter what your views are about, whether or not you like Snyder Cut, when you look at
yeah.
the Justice version,
Justice League.
and you look at and you look at the Snyder Cut, you're like, what? They're not even the same thing. They're just
No,
not.
they're not.
Um, I've got a note. I'm just looking at it on the back of my because I'm sitting where I work.
Right,
I'm just
right,
gonna
yeah,
get it. And when I'm writing my books, and in order
yeah.
to give myself inspiration, I don't know if you can see. It says
Uh,
first draft Whedon's Justice League, the Dean's final draft Snyder Cut,
I
and
love
that's what I have. That's like my inspirational note when my first draft is like giving me a head. I'm like, no, this is just the Justice.
Oh god. No, that is funny. You know what? Actually, you just made me think of a really interesting comparison because you thinking about Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 3. It's like that is like that's almost like Man of Steel. They're not
Oh no,
no,
don't
no,
say
hang
that.
on,
That
hang on,
actually
hang
makes
on,
sounds
hang
like
on,
nails on a
hang on.
blackboard to me.
No, hang on. Let me
Okay.
finish. It's like Man of Steel in that it's a version of Spider-Man, a version of the hero, a version of the story that fans were like, "What the fuck?" But the thing that comes next, the younger the younger Spider-Man, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that people were like, "What the fuck? Is this going to be what happens with Superman? We've ditched Henry Cavill
No,
and now
I
they're
think
going
it'll
for the
be
younger." Exactly
no,
what they did with Spider-Man.
I think it will be different because no, I just think it'll be different because they're saying that this is not. I was probably saying the same thing because Garfield's Spider-Man's a different universe, if you want to put it
Yes, but they went
that way.
younger. But they went back to young. They went young. Remember, Garfield went back to
Garfield,
high school.
but he still wasn't in high school for that long.
Two
I don't.
movies. His two movies were in high school. His only two
Look,
movies.
I completely reimagined this whole Spider-Man background story in my
Tobey
head.
Maguire
So
had like
he's not.
30 minutes in high school.
I kind of like to skip the fact they were in school because
Yeah.
I grew up when Spider-Man wasn't in. He was in school for like 5 minutes.
Yes.
And then he was in college. Then he had a job.
Exactly.
I don't know if you'll have the same effect with a younger Superman.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think he would have been. He probably would have got it if he let Cavill conclude and do what he done. Because now because the thing is as well, Garfield and Holland, they never had the stigma of the previous guy got fired so badly.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's Garfield are like, oh, the movies haven't done that well, and also as well, you always knew that Spider-Man wasn't Marvel property. Strictly.
Yeah.
So when he comes in, because Sony are doing them a favor, like you can borrow him for your Marvel.
Oh, they really got
movie.
Marvel by the gonads, don't they?
It's so good. I just think it's so good. I think it's so good. It's fun. It's fun. DC doesn't have that problem. They own all their. This is when it comes back to, you don't understand your products. You own all your characters. You're not in this ridiculous situation like Marvel when Universal has Incredible Hulk and Fox, wherever they were, had Fantastic Four, and Sony's got Spy. You don't have that situation with DC. I think whoever plays the younger Superman is gonna have the problem that you're gonna have this very strong network of Cavill fans who won't be happy.
Yeah.
And not because you're now Superman, it's because of how the whole thing came about.
It will be I feel like it will be a Daniel Craig taking over as James Bond situation where the only way to win people over will be your performance in that film has to be, this new Superman basically has to be Casino Royale.
Basically, yeah. That's exactly it. It has to be Casino Royale. It has to be that. But going by the fact that we have both had to go on Google to see what James Gunn had done before Guardians of the Galaxy.
Because I knew one movie of his.
I know one movie. All I knew was Brightburn, which, as far as I'm concerned, it's like a poor man's ripoff.
Yes.
Of
Superman.
Of Superman.
Yeah.
Which I don't think even did that well. And you mentioned Super.
Yeah.
So, I'm not holding out much hope. At least with David Ayer, what did he did Training Day.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
He's got Oscar he's got credibility. I don't know what Gunn has. Gunn's riding on Guardian's coattails for as long as he possibly can, but it's gonna end up being like I've gone back into bitchy mode. It's gonna be like the Emperor's New Clothes.
Yeah.
You're gonna realise, he ain't wearing any.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, in David Ayer's defense, I mean, yeah, he's connected with Fury.
Yeah, Fury's a good film. I only watched that.
Training Day. Yep. What else? U-571. I like that film. That was a fun one. The very first Fast and Furious. He's connected to things that were legitimately fun and successful and good. Yeah. It's just a shame that
people can quote David Ayer movies. I can't quote a James Gunn movie.
Oh, SWAT. I can quote SWAT 2003.
Yeah. I can quote Denzel Washington saying King Kong's got nothing on me in Training Day. I can't quote nothing from not Games of Thrones, from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, or their Christmas special, whatever it.
No, I remember really enjoying the first Guardians movie, and then I remember being kind of underwhelmed with the second and just being done with it. With the second one, I was like, I think I'm just done with this now. Like, I am not going to see the third one. I'll see it when it's on Disney Plus. I'll see it on Disney Plus. I'm not going to go to the cinema to see it.
Because I got confused and I realized their holiday special's completely different to the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think.
Yes, the holiday special is like, remember, like back in the 70s, there was a Star Wars holiday special. It's just meant
Do
to
you
be
know what?
used.
I don't think I ever watched it. I've heard it. Mark Hamill mentions it a lot, unless I blocked it out of my brain.
Oh my god! If you've not seen the Star Wars Holiday Special, you need to see the Star Wars Holiday Special. It is. It is. It's the only thing that's Star Wars that's free. Like, because no one wants it. No, Lucas didn't want it. Disney were like, "What?" Like, it's you can pirate the crap out of that because no one cares. No one wants it. Um, I'll send you an interesting. You should see it, but also send you an interesting review, fun review of it. That
Okay.
I don't know if you ever listened to Red Letter Media. They're just a YouTube channel who does a lot of really fun reviews. They do like Half in the Bag and they do Best of the Worst. They do a
Okay.
really interesting, deep discussion on the Star Wars Holiday Special, and it's
Okay.
well worth seeing because that is. Also, do you ever remember Mystery Science Theater? Do you know Mystery Science Theater?
I don't know if I do, or do I?
It was big show in the 80s and 90s where basically three comedians. The show was styled in that you were watching a movie, and at the bottom of the screen were
Oh, the
three
freak.
guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So
do.
those dudes still do that kind of commentary, but on like new stuff or even older stuff, and they do it under the name Riff Tracks. And they've also done a comedic commentary track for the holiday special. And
Okay.
you can go to rifftracks.com. I'm not sponsored by them. But you can go to their website and you can buy you can buy the holiday special with their track with their riff
Their
already on it
commentary.
because you can just do it now because no one wants it. No one wants to own it. Like, again, it's free. You
You
know.
know what? Everyone has like a crappy, poorly reviewed, and I
Yeah.
refuse to call it a guilty pleasure. If it's just a pleasure, it's just a pleasure.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their stuff that they like, and everyone just looks at them and like, what on earth?
Yeah.
Like, I always like Howard the Duck. No one understands
Oh
why I
yeah.
like
Yeah,
Howard
yeah,
the
yeah.
Duck.
I haven't seen Howard the Duck since I was a kid. I remember nothing about it actually.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to keep it that way, but I'm like, it
Yeah.
entertains me.
I mean, I have to admit the holiday special is nothing you will. It's a variety show. It's baffling.
Oh, I have
It's
kind of an idea of what it's probably like then.
it's
If it's the
baffling.
70s.
Yeah, it's baffling. It is like, oh wow. And the main characters leading you through it are Wookiees with no subtitles. Yeah, that's right. Wookiees doing their little roaring and growling. They're leading us through this holiday special. There's a grandpa Wookiee who is basically watching porno. It's really awkward.
This whole pod
1970s.
this whole podcast has become awkward.
I know.
It's like I've got time to kill over
This is what
Christmas.
happens when you start talking holidays, Star Wars holiday special, and it is bizarre. It is
I
hilarious
think we only got the
and
I will give it I'll
yeah,
give it a view.
you
See,
should The other
I'll
thing,
talk. Yeah,
I was saying the other thing we were gonna talk about briefly was the Terminator.
I don't know what it is with directors at the moment. Like, I don't know what's wrong with them. They just need to it's Christmas, have a drink, sit down in your movie theaters, which you have in your houses, and
Some
just
mulled
relax.
wine.
No,
Yeah,
everyone's just have some mulled wine. Everyone's just whining. James Cameron, you got Avatar 2. I mean, I did not like Avatar 1. I did not see what the fuck
oh
was
my
about.
god, me neither, thank God.
It's so I was bored out of my brain.
Yes, it's
So
terrible.
I thank you. So, it looks pretty, but no. I'm not that bothered about
Dances with
Avatar
Wolves with
2.
Smurfs. Like, what was he thinking? I
I had to mute myself because I was about to choke. Dancing with Wolves with Smurfs. I know I can't get out of my head now.
Yeah.
Right. As I was saying, it's not that great. But your movies come out, you're breaking records, you've hit your
Yeah.
box office marks, and it's not being as well reviewed as the first one.
No.
But you got your movie, you're making your money.
Yeah.
He's there whining. I don't know what you've got. He's just everywhere I go. He's moaning about something at the moment. And I'm like,
I think he's mad because Avatar 2: The Way of the Water, stupid ass name. I think he's just mad because I think he was really expecting this movie to be the next highest grossing movie of all time. I
What's the
think
first?
he thought,
What's the first one? What is the highest grossing movie of all time?
well, for the longest time it was Avatar. I don't know what's knocked it off. Let me see.
It's not Endgame or something, is it?
Highest grossing movie of all time. Okay, at the moment, according to what's just come up here, Avatar is still the highest grossing at 2.9 billion. Avengers Endgame is 2.8 billion.
Okay.
And really, Top Gun Maverick should just beat them all. Whatever. But also, so I mean, this is the thing. This is the thing. It's the goddamn thing. So Avatar is in there, and Titanic. He's got 2 films in the top 3
And he's
highest
still
grossing movies of all
bitching.
time, and he's still complaining.
This
And
is
he's
what I'm saying.
still,
I've literally, since that film, I came back from holiday, and I think Avatar came out,
yep,
and all I've seen is posts about him moaning about one thing or the other.
yep.
Some things aren't even about Avatar. I think he was moaning about Matt Damon. He was like, "Get over it." I was like, all the man said was that he, yeah.
Does it, Matt?
I
Does it,
sound like
Matt?
Muttley from anyway. I mean, he was moaning about Matt Damon because Matt Damon said, he turned it down and then he realized, he lost down 200 million, whatever the stupid
Yeah.
figure is. Be like, okay, he's allowed to say, this is my experience, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
But Cameron's like, oh, you should stop moaning, stop complaining. You're complaining.
You're complaining, sir. Because
Yes,
he
you're
was
complaining.
also complaining about the CGI. He was complaining. He was like, fine, yeah, Thanos, whatever, but Thanos doesn't have nothing on my avatars. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude.
Grow up. This is what I want to say. Grow up.
Yes.
If
So
he was my client, I would say, listen to my advice. Say nothing.
say nothing.
Say nothing.
I wish, but apparently he was on some other podcast called Smartless, and in this interview, in this discussion, raised the idea that he wants to reboot the Terminator franchise again. And it's like, we had Terminator 1 and 2, perfect films.
Oh, T2
That
is the best.
it is. There's I do not consider anything after 2 to be real. But you have Terminator 3, which was terrible. Then you had the next reboot. So I guess Terminator 3 still is meant to be connected, but it's still kind of a reboot. But
Is Terminator 3 the one with the girl in the red suit?
yes,
Girl,
yes,
sorry, the woman in the red suit.
yes. It's a woman. It's not a girl. Get it right.
I corrected myself. It's a woman in a red suit.
Yes.
With Claire Danes. Is that the one?
Maybe.
Claire Danes is in it.
Maybe. Sure. I don't remember. Who remembers Terminator 3 aside from John Connor is played by a dope and there's a lady.
I think that is the one
Terminator.
with Claire Danes.
Probably. Then you had Terminator Salvation, which was the first of the reboots, which was a one and done movie because nobody liked it. Coincidentally,
Christian Bale.
Say again.
Is that the one with Christian Bale?
Yes, and also the guy who's the Avatar guy, the Avatar star. He was the main Terminator guy, and
I was very confused watching that movie, and I thought it was very poor.
It was, and then what is next? Then the next reboot is Terminator Genesis, where
Emilia Clarke,
and Jai Courtney playing Kyle Reese, and Doctor Who, Matt Smith was in it for half a second. And then that's the one where they turned John Connor into a Terminator.
Wasn't he something to do, Matt Smith, something to do with the program?
Yeah. And then the next reboot is Dark Fate, which erases all of the other movies and is pretending to be the Noose number 3, where they kill John Connor, and there's some human Terminator hybrid bullshit. And it's just, so I'm just like, so he says he's come back and he's quoted as saying, Nothing has been decided, but I would like, but it would, but he wants to come back and potentially do another one. But I would make it more about the AI side of it than bad robots gone crazy.
Oh,
Well, isn't that all Terminator is?
that's exactly what Terminator is. Well,
Like,
original Terminator is they send the Terminator to 1980 whatever
yeah,
to kill John Connor. No, to kill Sarah
Sarah.
Connor.
Yep,
So John Connor's never born.
yep,
Which is a very straightforward. It goes back to my Back to the Future
yep,
theory of time travel. It's extremely straightforward.
yes,
Everyone knows where they stand. It makes complete sense.
yes,
And then John Connor comes back to the past to say, not John Connor, Carl, is it Carl Reese?
yeah. Kyle Reese.
He comes back to
Yep,
1980 to save
1884, I think.
Sarah, and he's chased by
Yep,
Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger. All
yep,
makes perfect sense. And
yep,
then we have Terminator 2,
yep,
T2,
yep.
and you've got what's his face? Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then you've got
What's that guy's name?
oh, my brain's gone. And then you've
Arnold.
got what's the other Terminator, the actor? Robert
Oh, Robert something or the other. Damn it.
Robert something.
Terminator.
Oh God,
I can tell you.
I remember going cinema to watch
Robert
this.
Patrick.
It was you got Robert Patrick.
He's cool.
Once again, the movie makes absolute perfect, and it's an
Yep.
it's an epic movie. And
Yeah.
to be fair, they could have just finished the Terminator franchise right there.
That is the end.
That
Full stop.
yeah, no, it is the end because Arnold goes down, does his
Goes
fight.
down. The thumb in the lava.
Yeah,
That's the end.
and that's the end of it, and we all know where he's standing.
Yep.
And the reboots. Was there Rise of the Machines? Was that the third one, or am I just making stuff up?
The third one is Rise of the Machines. To me.
Yeah, all I remember is the woman in the red suit. I don't remember much of that film.
No.
But again, there's no there was no need for it.
Judgment Day is inevitable.
Is that what she said?
That's what Arnold
just remember.
says.
I was like, was he in it as well?
Yeah.
See, I don't remember because
Yeah.
the thing, these movies didn't actually leave much of an impact
No.
on us because
No.
there was no need for it.
No.
And there's nothing wrong with how it was, Terminators coming back to kill somebody.
Leave it alone.
To the present.
Yeah.
Just leave it alone. And Dark Fate. I didn't mind. Oh, I watched Dark Fate. I haven't watched it again since I saw it in the cinema.
Yeah.
There were things that annoyed me about it, like the Terminator woman, whatever she was.
Yes.
She annoyed me.
Yes.
The girl annoyed me. I think that everything annoyed. The only people who didn't annoy me was Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton, because Linda Hamilton's a badass. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it wasn't. There was no. And this is the thing. Why does he want to reboot it when he's the one who did the last one with Linda? I don't. This is what I'm saying. They all need to go home, sit down, have a cup of tea, put something nice on the telly, have a nice dinner, and just ease themselves into Christmas. Just leave. You've done Avatar. Move on. Find something new.
Do you think it's a matter of like when like a band has their couple of hits and like for example, like I like the band U2, but they haven't really had like a really big hit that I like since probably Vertigo, which was 2004. The song Vertigo.
It's been a long time.
That's the last song of theirs that I'm like, I remember that album. I remember liking that song, and there's a couple of songs on that How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb that I really enjoy. But they keep producing a few other things. There's a few more albums that they've done afterwards, but the stuff that you like is that stuff. So when you go see them in concert, you're getting those greatest hits, right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering with some of these guys like James Cameron and things like that, where they just they're just returning to all of these old franchises, similar to like Ridley Scott, because recently did a couple episodes on Alien 3 and then Prometheus and Alien Covenant. And there's a part of me that's kind of like, is it just that these old dudes they just going back to their hits, and trying to recapture that glory because this is what they think, like this is what they were known for.
It's what defines them. And I think that if you're trying to remain relevant, this sounds very cold. If you're trying to you want to remain relevant in a world that's constantly moving, the only thing you can do is go back to the thing that defined you from the very beginning. But
Yeah.
that's set in place for a certain time, and it created a movement. But things have progressed so
Yeah.
much. I mean, the mere fact you're sitting there moaning about the CGI of Thanos and doing a comparison to
Right.
Avatar. I mean, there should be other things that you should be concerning yourself
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Um,
This
Sing 2 features fun. Oh, it did. I did go and watch Sing 2. That's because I had
didn't even know that.
I had 3 children with me. It was the summer. And they wanted to watch something, so we watched
The
Sing
other
2.
thing is, when I was thinking about James Cameron wanting to do more Terminator stuff, is I'm
Mhm.
thinking about Avatar and thinking about his comments about Thanos' CGI. And I'm like, for better or worse, the MCU has made an impression on pop culture that will forever be remembered.
Oh,
The
definitely.
MCU will always be around. It won't always be around, but in like film history, there will be some recognition of what this was like.
Well, this whole, I mean, when you hear, I mean, the only person I can think of at the moment is like Martin Scorsese. When they talk about comic
Yes.
book movies,
Yeah.
and there was someone else the other day. I can't remember. It will come to
Oh,
me
it's probably
later.
probably Tarantino.
Yeah, exactly. Tarantino was talking about comic
Yes.
book movies and how the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Am I saying 15 is probably too long?
No, no. 10, 15 is about right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. Yeah.
Last 10 or 15 years has been box office numbers has been defined by
Yeah.
comic book movies.
Yeah.
But to be fair, with the exception of, Aquaman, I think Aquaman made 1 billion. So,
It did.
the
Yeah.
few non-Marvel movies that cross over and
Yeah.
make an impression.
Yeah.
That industry it's being defined by comic book movies. So, when they're doing their film studies classes in 25 years time or 50 years time,
Yeah.
the same way you looked at that golden Hollywood era,
Yeah.
like with the James Cagneys as well, with that whole the 1930s gangster
Yes.
era.
Yeah.
Um, you know, which is what when I was doing film stuff at university back in like the late 90s, that was the era we was looking at. So,
Yeah.
fast forward 25, 30 years, they're going to look at this time to
Yes.
say how this
And
comic book
you know what they're
defined
not going to be talking about?
movies.
Avatar.
What?
Avatar won't be talked about, and that's my point. Like
Well, no, actually, no. I was
he's
making
wanting
a
to
face
go
like,
back. Well, hang on, hang on. He's wanting to go back to Terminator because Terminator has cultural relevance.
yeah.
That's made it likely to have an everlasting imprint on cinematic history. Avatar will will be a footnote in the 3D chapter, in the chapter on 3D film. It'll be a footnote.
No, it's true. And I was going to say, it already is just a footnote
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
because it defined how, like you said, how special effects, visual
yeah,
effects,
yeah.
um,
But like
how they utilized
story,
it. Yeah. But in terms of,
character, are we quoting Avatar? Are we remembering? Oh,
no,
you know,
people are still, when we look at things, people are still quoting The Godfather,
yeah,
Godfather 70s. People will still be quoting, oh, Full Metal Jacket.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah,
they'll quote Star Wars.
yep,
There's iconic
yeah,
lines, and even for George Lucas, he create people who create worlds, but then
yeah.
also you have to know when to leave those worlds behind and
I think so.
give
Yeah,
put them in someone else's hands. And James
yeah.
Cameron's not ready to do that. And
No,
as you said, he's still trying to he's still trying to be relevant,
yeah,
but Avatar's not going to make him relevant because we've moved on, and you don't even
yeah.
need to go to the movies to see such like
Oh,
advances in technology. You
no,
can, as much as some people may not like it, you can just go on Disney Plus or Amazon or
yeah,
Netflix
exactly.
and see how people, see the advances that are being made.
And I think
But no,
the other problem with the Avatar stuff is that it's just I know he's really just adamant about 3D. 3D doesn't it's not going to work. It's not going to be a thing. It's just not going to be a thing.
3D was just about a thing when I was in school, and they used to give you the little 3D
Yeah, exactly.
glasses,
Yes.
which
Yes.
like they just about worked, and then you tried for 5 minutes and you
Oh,
gave up, and then you watched some 3D stuff in the cinema, and then you're like, ugh. I wish I
Yeah.
hadn't bothered. I just should have just watched it in IMAX. Just
Exactly,
big stuff.
exactly. In the chat, Biffer says that I want Avatar 2 to do well because I want him to make Alita 2. Did you ever see Alita? Alita
I did
Battle
watch it.
Mm.
I did watch it. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind Alita. I didn't mind Alita.
It had the
I don't know
Batman problem.
in the
It went
sense of
it went way too fucking long. It basically I quite liked it. I quite liked it. But narratively, it's like you get to the point where the movie ends, and then you can tell where they were like, we're probably not going to ever make a sequel.
let's
So
just
we need
drag
to
it
hurry
out.
up and tack on this extra 30 minutes where she goes and defeats the other bad guy that blatantly should have been the bad guy for the second movie.
I
And
think that's probably when I cut off. I was like,
yeah,
why is this? But then I was just thinking about Steven Spielberg. You know, when you mentioned Alita, and I don't know, I can't remember if Ready Player One came out
around the same
before
time.
or around
Yeah.
the same time. But I'm like, you look at Spielberg's history, you don't hear him. I mean, he did an interview the other day, and what he was saying was that he's
Mm.
sorry for the treatment that the sharks got when he made Jaws back in the 70s. The people suddenly were like, I mean, I would be shit scared of a shark, but they were scared of sharks. And he said they
Yeah.
probably led to the decimation
Yeah.
in their numbers. But you look at Spielberg's history, you look at the films that he's made, you know, you can go for anything from Goonies to
Yeah.
Indiana Jones to Jaws to then you have
E.T.
the what?
E.T.
Oh god, yeah, E.T. I
Close
don't E.T.
Encounters of the
toy.
Third Kind.
Close Encounters of the Third Time.
God, that's a
And
terrific film.
then you have Schindler's List and
Oh yeah.
what's the one? Was it the one with the bridges with the spies?
Yep.
That
I know
called.
what you're talking about.
I know,
but
you
don't
know,
remember
I
the name
know.
now.
It's finished that
I think
time.
it's like
But
Bridge
not
of Spies. I think it's called
Bridge of
Duel.
Spies.
Don't forget Duel, his first film.
Oh, right. And so you look at his history, and then you know, then he'll go and do a Ready Player One.
Oh, Jurassic Park. We can't. How are we not remembering
Oh my
Jurassic
god,
Park?
exactly. But you never hear Spielberg say, "I need to go back and redo this," or "I want this movie to be bigger than
Yeah.
Jurassic Park." You don't hear him speak like that because I think
Yeah.
there's an acceptance with Spielberg with, "I made my movie.
Yeah.
Now moving on to the next project." And if the project, you know, if I'm happy with what Schindler's List,
Schindler's
yeah,
List.
if
Yep.
if the movie does well and it's received well, then good. If people don't like it, like I think, did he do the Christmas one with Tom Hanks on the train? Polar Express.
Oh, did he do Polar Express? He
Did he
might
do
have done
Polar
it. I think he
Express?
might. Let's find out. Polar Express.
And people didn't like Polar Express. I don't think it reviewed well.
Um,
Oh, it was a bit.
It was
half.
mixed.
It was mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't hear him bitching and whining about it. You
No.
know, I know he's got a movie.
No, sorry. That was
Was it Robert
it's
Zemeckis?
close. It was Robert Zemeckis.
Okay, Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
But you don't hear him. I said you just don't hear Spielberg whining.
You don't, and I appreciate him. I mean, I haven't liked a Spielberg movie in a very long time. I don't know if West Side Story is good. I've heard people say it's good.
Oh yeah, I
but,
haven't seen it.
But to me, I'm like, it's a remake. Don't care.
And I'm not really a fan of musicals.
No. Ooh, actually, Biffer, you just reminded me. Tintin, The Adventures of Tintin.
Oh yeah, I just
Now,
see
that
Adventure of
one was
Tintin.
good. Tintin was good. I was really pissed that Tintin flopped. Did he direct that movie? Let me double check. Yeah, he directed that movie. That to me was ridiculous that movie flopped.
You know what it is? It also, and I think this is the problem like DC's had in the past. Critics and a certain collection of people will decide it's gonna be rubbish, it's gonna be bad, and they're determined to slag it off before
Yes.
It's even previewed. So it's already coming off a back foot.
Yeah.
Like I felt that with I felt that with Black Adam. I felt that with Shazam. Felt that with Aquaman did brilliantly well. People decide it's gonna be rubbish, I'm gonna hate it because it's not what we know.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what happened with. I don't think I've watched Tintin. I don't think Tintin was bad.
No, it's terrific. I mean, it's funny. The general aggregate is that it's 74% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's actually not too bad. 74 is That's a passing grade. Like that's decent. Even
Yeah.
7.3 out of 10 on
I don't think that's
IMDb.
bad.
That's a good movie. It's,
It's
if
not
you're into
4.
sevens, that's good. But I think it's down to box office. Um,
Yeah.
Biffer in the chat. Disney shills automatically badmouth DC movies.
That's what they do.
There is a lot of that. You're not wrong, sir. You're
That's
not
exactly
wrong.
what they do, and you don't you can't fight against that because their voice is very, very, very loud, and I don't think
Yeah.
critics help, and I don't think this age of social media where everything is, someone burps in the room and then that's misinterpreted as, oh my god.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. There's a really funny bit in one of I don't know if you ever listened to the comedian Bill Burr. He's
No,
an
I've
American.
seen him, but
He's
I haven't watched like a whole thing on him.
one of his specials. I think it's called Paper Tiger. But he has this really funny bit where it's like just kind of like, yeah, where he's, oh, what's the joke? It's something along the lines of, oh shit, something along the lines of like, oh, I'm butchering it now because I can't fully remember it, but he makes the joke about like, you know saying, saying something like not going to the gym today, and then the person responded to me like, well, I didn't go to the gym today, are you calling me fat? And it's like, no, I'm saying I didn't go to the gym today, you fatty. Like, and it's like it's quite funny.
But it's like that.
um
It's like there's a joke, and I'm probably going to butcher it as well, when they say, "Oh, I don't like I don't like oranges." You against oranges? You against all citrus fruit? You're like, I'm just saying I don't like oranges. Doesn't mean I don't like
you against all citrus fruit.
clementines or satsumas or limes in my margarita. It's just,
Oranges are good in certain drinks. In certain
yeah,
drinks.
it's a thing. But people take things to the nth degree. You
They
say Disney
do.
shows are the say
Stuart
Disney shows.
Jones in the chat says Disney shills are the worst. I have to agree. They are. There
Yeah.
is again, I need to share some more Red Letter Media videos with you, Nadine, because there's one called the
I got
Nerd
time.
Crew. There's one called the Nerd Crew where they basically make fun of the people who just shill for Disney. They're like everything that they're as like they're just
It's
talking Star Wars and Marvel and everything is super cool. It's very cool. And it's so cringy the way they parody a lot of other like YouTube shows and things like that. They're just sort of unabashed love for something with all of these
but
like
the
wink
thing
wink,
is,
we're getting paid for it.
I'm not. But this is the thing. It's like I am. Well, as you know, I'm a big DC fan, and I can't remember. You love Star Trek, right?
Love it.
You're a big Trekkie, and there's people's gonna be. I
Around
know
me.
I can see your background,
But so
but
Smallville.
and you're a big Smallville fan as well. But then even within, there is still a moment of sanity in your brain
Yeah.
when you listen to other people in the fandom and you have to sit back and go, bruv, you need to like calm it down a bit because literally you're going, it's not that deep. It's like when you're on Twitter and you get the Elon Musk apologist, you're like, mate, like, is he paying your bills? Because unless you're paying my bills, Warner Brothers and DC are not paying my bills.
Yeah.
My opinion is my opinion, but even I can be like, breathe, take a moment.
Right.
It's not that deep.
It is the problem. The big problem is that, and this is where we get into like a cultural problem, right?
Yeah.
And it's like yes, I love Star Trek. I love this stuff. Do I love a lot of new Star Trek? No. I hate a lot of new Star Trek. I think it's terrible. I think Discovery, Picard, a lot of it is it's not Star Trek to me. It doesn't feel like it's not being written by people who know Star Trek. So I generally
Right.
don't like it. But I give it a chance. I'll at least try and give it a chance. But there were certain people that it's like you say something like, "Oh, well, I think this new Star Trek's terrible," and they lose their fucking mind. And
Because
it's like
how dare you? How dare
or like
you, Luke?
Marvel's probably the better example of that because I haven't liked Marvel for so many years. When I'm like, oh no, this Marvel film was Stupid. What are you talking about? And they're like, but their identity, these so many fans' identity seems to be wrapped up in the fictional character. Like, how dare you call Ray a Mary Sue? She's a strong, independent woman. No, she's not. She can fly the Millennium Falcon with never like she was just scrapping in a desert. Why can she fly the Falcon? It's the
But you know,
Force.
but all
Shut
I'm
up.
telling you,
Shut up.
all the fandoms are they're all the same. As I said,
Yeah.
they've all got their small groups, which are just
Yeah.
if you saw them on the street, you would walk away
Oh, you
because
would.
they're like
You
they're
would.
enough. And I've been on some like groups and things, and I've said something like, and how dare I, as a
Yes.
woman, dare say anything that
Right.
may correct some
Uh,
a misapprehension. And
yes.
I have been called certain names. I've been told I don't know what I'm talking about. And then someone goes, "You even read the comics?" And I was like,
Let me
"Do
show
I
you,
read?"
Sarah.
I like, well, this is just a very tiny selection. Do I know the comic? And you have to sit back and be like, you know what, I'm just going to leave you to it. But then the ones who
Yeah.
annoy me, I never gone off topic, but the ones who annoy me the most are they know nothing about nothing. But what they do, they then go and Google Marvel, Incredible Hulk, something.
Yes. Yeah.
They then screenshot the first comic book strip that they see and then
Yes.
post it, and they're like, that makes their point. I'm like, but
Ugh.
do you even know where that even came from? Do you even know what the story is? And
No.
I'm like, those are the ones I find really, really annoying. I'm like, you don't know, nothing. Oh, I'm really
Sorry, Stuart Jones says, "Wait, did I miss the bad mouthing of James Gunn? Am I too late to the party?"
it wasn't bad mouth, and it was a very enthusiastic critique.
we
Oh, I
there is
slagged
a
him off.
there is a lot of bad mouthing of Gunn, more than I realized was going to happen.
Can I
Um, but I wholly endorse it.
can I share how I would have ended if I was in charge of 'cause I thought about this because I said
Yes.
my body
Yes.
clock is all messed up, so I'm
Yeah.
awake at silly times. So I have a lot of time to think at the moment. And I thought if I was in charge of DC Studios, DC
Yeah.
Films, and they were determined to reboot the universe, this is how I would
Yeah.
have rebooted it. Just follow the comics. So, like, this is Justice League. I've shown you this before. This is Justice League.
Oh, yes, the Dark Side War,
Volume
yeah.
7 and 8, the Dark Side War. And this basically ends the New 52 and reboots the universe.
Right. Right.
I just would have done that. And you can kill off everybody.
Yeah.
Have the Flash run through. It
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be Barry Allen, it can be Wally West, because that's how it ends. And then you reboot this universe. Like, there's ways for it to be done without looking like idiot.
Yes, another comment is from Stuart Jones says, "I have a lot of bad mouthing to do when it comes to James Gunn." Well, look, here's your moment.
Here's your moment to share it.
Put it in the chat. We will respond to it while we
We
still
will
have time.
respond.
You
But
know?
yeah, that's how because Dark Side War is so good. You know, it's in
Yeah.
2 parts.
Yeah.
But that's how I would have done it. And
Yeah.
just follow the people who know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
It is
when
baffling. Now just to cut in, sorry, but like it is baffling when you have these comic books that have the perfect roadmap laid out for
yeah,
you, and then you're like, nah. It's like that. I think that was what made me laugh so much about not to slag Zack Snyder some more, Zack Snyder, but when they was doing that Comic-Con panel where he was like, well, we took a lot of inspiration from The Dark Knight Returns, but that our story isn't that story. It's one we made up ourselves. And you kind of got the
influence.
sense of like people are like, oh, you're not. Oh, you should be doing The Dark Knight Returns, but you're not because you think you have a better idea.
To be fair, I did think when they were doing it, I think when they announced it, so before they
Mm,
started filming, I thought, well, that's what they're doing. They're just going to do the Dark Knight Returns. And then when you watch the film, you realize, okay, it's Death of Superman, it's Dark Knight Returns, and then other
yeah,
bits like to fill in the gap.
yeah.
But I want to see how James Gunn is going to do it as epic an introduction of Wonder Woman that Zack Snyder did, because I think that was quite good
I tell you what,
when
for
she
all of our
lands. And
trashing of Zack Snyder, I do have to give him credit. He is one of the writers on Wonder Woman.
yeah,
And
And
that is, I love the first Wonder Woman movie.
and the Zimmer soundtrack with that,
Not bad. It's not bad.
it's not bad. So I don't know what Gunn is going to. I have little hope. James
Wait,
Gunn.
wait, wait, wait. No, what's his face? Hans Zimmer did Wonder Woman 84.
I thought, did he do it or didn't he not do it? He did the
Um,
first one. He didn't
uh,
do Junkie XL. Did Snyder Cut?
yes, Rupert Gregson Williams did Wonder Woman.
The first one, the
Yep,
Patty Jenkins one.
yep, yep. I'm double checking. Just yep.
Okay.
So yeah, he did the first one.
And Zimmer
And
did
Hans
obviously
did
the.
84, but I actually quite like 84 soundtrack.
I don't have a problem with this. I don't have a problem with the soundtrack. The only problem
Yeah.
soundtrack, and to be fair, I didn't even have a problem with Elfman's soundtrack to the Justice version because it fitted that theme of the film.
I don't think I've ever listened to it.
Yeah, I mean you don't really have to, but you know if you
No.
watch it, it's like it works.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, so we have another comment in the chat from Stuart Jones who says, quite simply, the guy, meaning James Gunn, is a clown. God. Allegedly.
Allegedly a clown.
Most people want visual continuity when it comes to these comic book movies, and I don't think he actually cares about fans and just wants to do his own thing. That's a good,
I don't.
it's a good point. But there's a lot of ego involved, I think, with this project, with his takeover.
Oh, definitely. Ego, arrogance, entitlement.
It's like, because in terms of writing, I don't know if this might be kind of relevant, but stuff I don't talk about too often. I got my start publishing by doing pastiches. I was doing some Sherlock Holmes pastiches. So I have a few books out there that are Sherlock Holmes books, right? And it's kind of a similar thing where it's like if you're going to adapt an already established character, you have to on some level be thinking about what the fans of that character really want. And continuity is a big thing. If you're going to continue the stories of these characters, you have to think about what is the legacy left by the original creator or creators, and how are you going to respect that while trying to move things forward, do your own original thing, but not completely step away from everything that was there. And I think, again, this is why I think, like, man, you had the Flash movie, just fucking boot the stupid universe, but keep Gal, keep Henry.
Flashpoint.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes no sense. It
makes. I said it in the beginning. It's if you're gonna reboot the universe, your Flash movie is your perfect opportunity to do that.
Yes.
And the fact that you've chosen to do it this way, he said it doesn't. As you say, it doesn't show respect to the originators. It doesn't show respect to the community.
Yeah.
It's just, to me, it's just a massive ego trip, and it's also like a power thing as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm in charge. This is what I'm into. I don't really care. This is what's going to happen. You can like it or lump it.
And I mean, I know we've said this before. Again, it's like, or he could have quashed all that from the very beginning by just being like, "We're doing a hard reboot."
Yeah.
And then I would have been like, "Okay, yeah, that makes sense." Because partly it does make sense.
It does. And the thing is, the minute, and I think there was always this expectation with people, with like the fan base. The minute they said, James Gunn is taking head of the studios, and also before that, when you had the Warner Brothers merger, and then you had whatever his name is, I'm purposely forgetting his name now, in charge, and and they completely cancelled Batgirl. So you kind of had this acceptance they're going to reboot the universe.
Yeah.
So you could even have just not even bothered with the whole Cavill thing and just said this is a hard reboot. And I think there would have been an acceptance of that because you've been very open and upfront from the beginning. Yeah. But it's this very circling, very manipulative thing that they've done.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sit well with people.
Yes.
So I could live with a new incarnation of DC universe.
Totally.
But the way they've gone about it is just been in very, very poor taste.
Yeah. That is definitely the problem is how they've handled it. It's a shame because it's gonna have people's backs up for a very long time.
It's got my back up. Let me have my back up all over Christmas. When I'll be reading I'll be reading my comics. I got lots of comics to get through, and I'm just gonna be like, see.
Okay, what'd you have to over Christmas? What comics are you reading?
I am reading God, Deceased.
Deceased, right?
Well, so I'm reading that, which is the third series of that. And what else have I got? Um I've got to finish the new Crisis series.
Okay.
I've got that.
Yep.
I've got the One Bad Day series. I've got the new Penguin one, which I need to
Mm-hmm.
read. What else do I have?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. Oh my god! And I got the whole Batman. There's a lot of Batman issues. I've got like from
Oh, okay.
Batman issue, like I got from issue 118 to like 129
Oh wow,
to read.
that's a lot
But
of
I don't
Batman.
mind that. That's that, and they're comics, and they're just fun, and they tell a good story. It's a good story. This is the whole
Yeah.
thing. Tell a good story, and you keep us interested. And I know that, and it's the thing. I know that in the current DC comics, they're rebooting the universe, but
Yeah.
I can live with that because there's a clear chain leading up to that reboot.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I can follow. You may be like, oh my god, it's not going to be the same Superman, but you can live with it.
Yeah. It's it
So
kind of it's not the same, but it's close enough.
it's close.
You know.
It's close enough. I mean, when they did rebooted the New 52 of the Dark Side World, don't get me wrong, the Dark Side World was amazing. I
Yeah.
was like, what do you mean? I don't want to leave this world. But then you enter the new world, you're like, actually no, I like this world.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing that DC does well
And the
in the
other problem,
comics.
I mean, the problem with like comic books in general is that I mean, Superman and Batman have been around since the 30s. Like
Mm,
you have to find some new way to to revive them and keep them modern, and that's the best way to do it.
yeah.
Is the multiverse idea. Like that's a fun way. And I've always thought like Marvel kind of missed a trick by not, I know this is going to be like blasphemous, but by doing the opposite of DC, and they should have aged their characters out.
No, they didn't. It's like there was a fair. It's like because they didn't have proper ownership of them. It was
Yeah.
like there was a fair to do
Yeah.
that with them. And then when they did try and recreate the multiverse universe, because there wasn't
Yeah,
a
the old
clear,
universe is terrible.
yeah, and because there wasn't a clear storyline leading up to it, all of a sudden you're reading the series. All of a sudden it's like,
Yeah.
where did this multiverse? I don't understand what's
Yeah.
happening. Like we're now on a different Earth, 3462. What?
Yeah.
it
What?
doesn't make
Pardon?
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm reading Stuart Jones's comment.
Oh,
It's
yes.
on the screen.
So yeah, in the chat, Stuart Jones says yes, the Flash movie is the perfect time to reboot things, even if it is a soft reboot. Yep, use the Flash and his powers to change things. James Gunn is a clown.
He's a clown. The thing about the Flash, right? I'm
Oh,
holding up
poor
my
Gunn.
comic. The Flash is the reason for everything being screwed up time wise.
Yes, it's always that guy's
Anytime
fault.
there's a reboot of the universe, either he's caused it or he has to fix it
Yeah.
or create this change.
Yes.
Which is quite cool.
Yeah.
So just do that.
Yeah. They've definitely missed a trick. I think time will tell how Gunn's tenure will go. Um, given WB's track record, I don't really know how much hope I actually have.
Here's a question
Uh,
before we depart.
yeah,
Because we always seem to do long
I
podcasts
know
when I'm
every
on.
time. I don't care.
Here's a question. It's fun. It's Christmas.
Heck yeah.
I keep saying that. That's my excuse. It's fun. It's Christmas. Do you think
Mm.
James Gunn will last?
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think these next his I guess they have a 10-year plan. Will he last the full 10 years?
I don't.
Unless he's not, I think the movies have to be really bad. Maybe not really bad, but they have to be sort of if if there is average and getting the same level of critique and dislike
Mm,
and with what's going on now, like the Snyderverse had its moments, but like it's probably safe to say it wasn't successful considering where we
mm.
are right now. If Gunn's universe is similar in reception, I don't see him lasting 10 years.
I
There's no
The
way.
thing is, yeah, I was just thinking. I mean, my initial thoughts, if you'd asked me a month, well, when we did talk about it like a month ago, however long ago it was,
Yeah.
if he's hands off in
Yeah.
terms of making the movies, you're overseeing as opposed to
Yeah.
actively making movies, then
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
But the fact that Cavill's gone and I am making Superman, I'm
Yeah.
making my version of Superman. I think
Yes.
that's an indication um of his involvement. I don't think his ego will allow him to sit back. And if he's
Yeah.
not, and if he's not prepared to sit back, I think he won't last long because you just can't have every movie just be a Peacemaker
No.
or a,
No, 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 you can't.
or a Suicide Squad. You can't. It, that DC fans, no matter it doesn't even have to be the most hardcore DC fan. It could just be your
Yeah.
lukewarm who they only ever know DC from
Yeah.
what they've seen on screen. Even
Yeah.
they won't be receptive to that
No.
because it doesn't make sense.
No, I completely agree. One more comment from Stuart Jones in the chat says Suicide Squad and Peacemaker wasn't even that good anyway, but a lot of people liked it, especially the critics. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see Peacemaker, but I saw the Suicide Squad. I remember enjoying the Suicide Squad.
Mm.
Um, that might just be because so many other comic book films at the time I was not enjoying, and it was average.
I think
But
things of the moment also, as you said,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes it's what's going on at the time. And I think maybe when Suicide Squad came out, that was probably when movie worlds were reopening.
Yeah, it
If
was
that
still
makes
heavy
sense.
pandemic. A lot of stuff wasn't, yeah, you were
Yeah.
watching it at home still, and
Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, Tenant was the first. It wasn't Tenant the first one they tried to bring
Tenet was
out
meant to
during.
be the savior of the cinema, but it didn't.
There was nothing
Top
saving
Gun
cinema.
did.
I need to. I'm going to watch Top Gun over Christmas because
It's so
everyone's
good.
raving over Top Gun.
I
I
tell you what,
know over
I don't
Maverick.
wanna overhype it. Top Gun is just it's just a normal good movie, but
But
it's been
sometimes
so
that's what you
long since
want.
we've had a normal good movie.
And this is what I think it's what it comes back to for me. It's like you just want a good movie. You just want a good story. You're not looking.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a bit hard to say you don't want all the bells and whistles because we live in this age where
yeah.
a lot of things are bells and whistles, and you're not gonna have your Mavericks, and you're not gonna have your Avatars and your comic book movies without
Yeah,
without the bell and whistles, and even like watching Andor, you're gonna have, there's gonna be a lot of effects. Actually, to be
yeah.
fair, I don't think there's not that much effects in Andor because you don't see a lightsaber at all. There's
Andor
not
was
one
pretty
chase.
did well to have a lot of practical, which I
Yeah,
respected that aspect of it for sure.
yeah. There's not a Jedi in sight like in
Thank
Andor.
God.
But what it comes down to, you just want good storytelling, and you just want to
Yeah,
be captured by a good story arc, a good character arc. You don't want to feel like you're being manipulated or just taking the piss out of.
yeah.
You want to be respected as a viewer.
Oh, totally.
And sometimes you don't want stuff that's going to make your brain hurt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to Howard the Duck.
Exactly.
Like,
Sometimes you do. Last thing, because there's one more thing I missed from Stuart Jones and in the comments. And he
uh,
says, "I hope he won't, as in Gunn, won't last, especially if he turns DC into a Marvel 2.0." My comment, kind of springboarding off of that, and I was gonna
mm,
say it or ask it earlier, but I forgot. Is do we at this point even need a cinematic universe?
I would say because I am a 80s baby,
Mhm.
90s teenager. I grew up with, my these were my comic book movies.
Mm.
Christopher Reeves is Superman.
Yep. Same.
Batman 1966. That's what I grew up with.
Oh my god,
Which
1966. Oh
which
god.
I loved. I honestly I
I
had it
watched
on
the
video.
show, obviously, and yeah.
Yeah, but I had the movie, like, I recorded the movie,
Yeah.
but used to watch it all the time.
Yeah.
Then I had Michael Keaton, so I got things very, very sporadically,
Yes.
but the animation was always consistent.
Yeah.
So I didn't need necessarily, if the movies then became, it's like an event.
Yes.
So I didn't necessarily need them because I always had the consistencies of animation and
Yeah.
I suppose then later on TV. So I don't necessarily, and also we live in an age when I keep saying it, we live in an age,
Mhm.
like we're in an industrial revolution or something. But but, when you've got like Disney
Yeah.
app and they had HBO, I don't know what their plans are going to be for HBO Max because they still show stuff on it.
Yeah.
But obviously it's just US based, it's not in the UK.
Yeah.
But when you've got things like you've got platforms, streaming platforms, you don't you don't necessarily need you don't need the cinema.
Not really.
And as I said earlier, when you're able, it's baffling that you're able to show such creative freedom with your TV shows and your animation, but then you literally hit a brick wall and go into panic mode when it comes to
Yeah.
I've got to put a 2-hour movie out there
Yeah.
into the cinema
Yeah.
and try and make money, and then you get annoyed because you don't do well in China doesn't take it,
Right.
or you release it late in Japan for some stupid I mean, this is
Yeah,
the
that's
thing about
weird.
Black Adam.
That was
It was
weird.
very weird because, as I said, October 16th was when Black Adam was released over here,
Mhm.
and I saw Black Adam 2 weeks ago in Japan, and I think it had just come out that first weekend in
That's
December. And you're like, "Well, I don't it makes no sense." And then, of course, your numbers are gonna be down if you
Yeah.
at that point, you've already released it digitally.
Yeah.
So I mean, that whole thing doesn't make sense. I don't think that you necessarily need a cinematic universe. Your cinematic universe now is just like a bonus episode,
Yeah. Well,
really.
I think I agree because I kind of think like as you were saying earlier, like Michael Keaton's Batman movies and stuff like that. Those were events like
Mm.
X-Men 1 and 2 and 3 and Spider-Man 1 and 2 and 3. Those were event movies because they
Yeah.
came out once every couple of years,
Yeah.
if not longer in gaps. And now it's like, well, okay, you have 5 movies coming out, but then you also have 7 TV shows coming out and and 15 tie-in comics connected to it all. Like,
Yeah, I don't even think you need and I think I always think the tie-in comics I mean, Marvel can get away with the tie-in comics because their comic books
yeah,
all over the place.
yeah,
DC doesn't need the tie-in comics. I mean, if it's a
no,
promotional material, fine, but
yeah.
they don't need them.
Yeah, no. So it's interesting. I feel like I'm bored with cinematic universes. I feel like it's too much. It's like it's the same reason why I don't read the comics anymore. It's like I don't have the time to read all of it. If I, if you want to. Like it's just the worlds get too big and now they've taken that world and they're translating it too not perfectly, but too close to like what the books do on screen, and
Yeah.
it's like the same with Star Wars. We have all these Star Wars movies, and we have all these Star Wars TV shows. We have all these Marvel movies. You have all these Marvel TV. I can't. I'm not going to keep up with it. I'm done. I'm done keeping up with it.
I mean, to be fair, with my comic book buying, I
Yeah,
only buy a few titles. There's only a few titles that I will
yeah,
buy
that makes sense.
because when they rebooted the universe, they had the whole rebirth. It's like I
Yeah.
tried. Like, I'm read because you got issue 1 of everything, so you read issue 1 of everything. But
Yes.
then next thing you know, you got 40 issues into Flash, and you're still on issue 3 of Suicide Squad, and then Green Lantern
Right.
Corps comes along, and
Yeah.
it's a lot, and also it's expensive. So
It is.
you're like,
It
I can't
really
afford to
is.
keep all this up.
No.
So no, as you said, this is like I've been watching. I love like Back to the Future is my favorite film, and they've been showing it
Oh,
on
I love that movie.
ITV. When you talk about event movies. So
Yeah.
Back to the Future came out in 1985, and then for years, you knew it said to be continued at the end. And every year, as a kid, I was waiting for Back to the Future, and I was like, "Well, you said it was." And every time you'd watch it, and you see it to be continued, you're like, "Well,
Yep.
where is it?"
Yep.
And then I think '89, Back to the Future 2, and Then
Yeah, I
they
think
immediately
so.
done Back to the Future
Yeah.
3.
They did those
But
back to back, yeah.
yeah, they did those back to back. But those were events. So when it
Yeah.
came, your level of excitement and enthusiasm it's just like off the wall. And you made, okay, bearing in mind I was 12, but
Yeah.
you made plans with your
Yeah.
cousins and your brothers and your friends, like we're going to watch
Oh, heck yeah.
Back to the Future too. Your mum didn't my mum didn't mind me dragging my little brother
No. No.
and our little cousins, like we're all going to the cinema because
Yeah.
it was an event.
Yep.
Whereas now I don't think you don't get that, because you said
No.
it's just
Yeah.
it's a conveyor belt
Yeah.
of
And
movies.
Endgame peaked it with the cinematic universe, like everyone going to go see the movie afterwards. Like there's not been anything remotely close to that.
No,
What's his face? Zack Snyder's Justice League, when that came out, that was the last that was sort of an event
it should
because
have
of
been an
everything that
event, yeah,
yeah.
but they screwed it up. They screwed it
Yeah.
up. And then in retrospect, when you look at what, and then I think this, and the thing about the Snyder Cut, I understand that maybe people's enthusiasm for it was more because
Yeah.
we're in a pandemic, you're in lockdown, there's nowhere to go, and there's
Pro
nothing.
Probably.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
I think I was waiting for, because I think that year you watched Snyder Cut, and then I think Godzilla versus Kong
Yeah. Jeez, yeah.
came out, and I know
Fuck.
Mortal Kombat came out later that year. But I think people
Forgot
were
about
more
that entirely.
receptive for things. Yeah, there was a lot of movies. But I think people were more receptive to films,
Yes.
and which is why the critics are probably more open, and probably open to receiving it better than if they just
Yeah.
traipsed off to the cinema.
Probably.
But it just, as I said, if just leave things alone. Let the
Yeah.
execs do the exec stuff, and let the filmmakers do their filmmaking,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
listen to the fans, because
Indeed.
I'm right.
You are right. I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Thank you.
Um, anyway, I guess we should wrap it up. 2.5 hours.
Oh
Our
my
classic
god.
runtime is around 2.5
What
hours.
on earth are we going to talk about in 2023 if you'd let me
I
back
mean,
on?
there's loads of stuff. There's always gonna be stuff to talk about. Always. Like,
Oh well,
what
We'll have the Flash movie would have come out, and the Blue Beetle
are all
movie.
okay, yeah, that's right. Both of those come out next year. So like
What
what
else
we
have
got?
we got? Oh, Mission
There's
Impossible. Can I come back for Mission
oh,
Impossible?
hell yes. Yes.
I love
Okay.
Mission Impossible.
I love those movies so much. I love that. Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
Did you
But
see, before we go? Did you see the Tom Cruise released his
I did the
behind the
10,
scenes?
yes. Nut job.
You know what?
I love it.
I watched it, and all I kept on thinking was, aren't you almost 60? And like, how did your knees take the impact
Right.
when you
Yes.
landed on the,
Yes.
and
When
I
when
know I shouldn't be thinking such things, but I was like, really?
yeah,
It's
no,
so
when
cool. But
he is when the last one came out, Mission Impossible
Fallout with Henry
Fallout.
Cavill.
Yes, when that one came out, I did the maths, and he was the same age that John Voight was in Mission Impossible 1. And if you remember,
No.
yes. And
All
John
John Voight did in Mission Impossible 1, sorry to cut you, was just grab his stomach with the
yeah,
fake blood and fall backwards
yeah,
into the.
he was like old man. He was old man.
Yeah.
He was the old man. And it's so funny cuz like Tom Cruise is the same age, but he's like just going for it.
No way. I don't believe. No, I probably do believe that.
Yeah,
Really?
no. John Voight was literally like the same age as Tom Cruise is now back in 1996 when Mission Impossible 1 came out.
That's crazy.
But like Tom Cruise, like whatever kind of syrup he's using.
I was just thinking, in
he,
Fallout, when he does the run across the buildings, across, through the city of London,
yes.
and he breaks his ankle, and
Yes.
you can see the point where he breaks his ankle, and
Yes. Just keeps going.
he keeps going. And I think they said that, when Maverick came out, you're like, he's the last Hollywood movie star.
He's the last action star. He's the last person you
Yeah.
go to the cinema to see Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
For sure.
You wouldn't go. I can't think of anyone.
No. There's
I'm
there's
going
some
to
people
say.
hanging around, but like, I don't go see a Harrison Ford movie anymore for Harrison Ford.
Oh well, I know we're supposed to go, but I was talking to someone about Harrison Ford,
Yeah.
and we were like, well, he must. I said he's just in his 70s. I think we're talking about Star Wars, and they ended up on Harrison Ford in the Indiana Jones trailer, And I googled him while we were talking. I was like, he's 80 years old.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was 80.
No.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
assuming them
crazy.
casting him as Everett Ross means that he's gonna die in that movie.
God.
I mean,
That's mean.
no, but like that's not a good investment. An 80-year-old man.
No, but they're all 80. I mean, Al Pacino's 80 something, isn't he?
Something like that.
Robert De Niro, I think if he's not 80 yet, he's getting there.
Yeah, they're close to that.
Must be.
Yeah. But no,
Who
there's
else
a lot of films next year that are worth talking about. So like Indiana Jones, Into the Spider-Verse, Mission Impossible.
Can I come back? Look at me. I'm just like, can I come back into the Spider? I love Into the Spider-Verse.
The Beast Wars or Transformers Rise of the Rise.
Did you see the trailer? I saw the trailer when I was in Japan.
I did. I'm interest is peaked. What else we got?
John Wick 4.
Mario, John Wick. Yep.
Was it you who tweeted about originality with the 2020?
I did. I jokingly, yes. It was kind of joking, kind of serious. Where like someone, I think it was like, I can't remember what website tweeted out the most anticipated movies, but like every single one was what. Yes, it was. Here it is. Yes, it was. Fandango did like a top 10 most anticipated movies, and every single one was some kind of stupid sequel. And it's like I miss the day. Like, where's my Back to the Future? Where's my modern day Back to the Future?
I know,
where's
that's
the
what
thing
we
to be
want.
excited about that isn't a stupid sequel?
But the thing is, you don't know something's going to be a classic and going to be good until you see it. So there's no way to anticipate.
It's true, but there could be a trailer now advertising a film for next year. Like, oh, that's the film to look out for. Like,
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure in the 80s people were like, oh yeah, no, that next year that Back to the Future looks really good. We'll keep an eye out for that one. You know what I mean?
This is the thing. They made you wait for films. Like they
Yes.
released a trailer, and the thing is as well, you only ever really saw a trailer if you went to the cinema.
That's true.
And then later on, they would then be on
Yeah.
the TV screen.
Yeah.
You know, you weren't able to download trailers or anything. So you
No.
had this much longer and a much more bigger build up to movies. Whereas now, you know, they drop about 5 teasers, then 4 different versions of a trailer. The time you sit there, you're like, well, I've probably already seen the best bit. And this is the thing, you go into it thinking, I've probably already seen the best bits of the movie. Then you sit there and realize you have. Oh, even worse.
Oh,
the stuff they showed in the trailer doesn't even end up in the movie. You're like, well, what is this?
Yes. Oh God. So I just saw something that says a Wong series is at works at Marvel Studios. Do we like Wong? Do people like Wong? Is he really that good of a character?
They like Wong, but I don't know if he warrants his because he's Sorcerer Supreme now. This is the problem. This is the problem.
I just can't.
There's a fear to do anything new.
There is.
Which is why
there is.
I don't want to be in charge of DC films anymore.
Nope.
Nope. Just give me a comic. I will write a comic book series, and that's what I'll do.
I would like to write a comic series. I think I'd rather write a crime series. Just a TV series, crime TV series.
Yeah, I'll do anything else in that comic book world. I don't need to be near the studios because I'll make James Gunn cry. And no one needs to see a man cry.
No one needs to see
in the corridors.
She was so mean to me.
Nadine was mean to me because she told me I was rubbish and I was nothing without Guardians of the Galaxy.
God, it's true though. Well,
it's very true.
This was fun. I had fun talking DC.
Thank you for inviting me for our impromptu. Would you like to do a podcast? I was like, yes.
I know. Like when I was glad you were free. I was like, yes. I'll do it any time of the day. Don't care. Want to do it. But for real now, probably, I won't be back until the new year.
I won't be back until the new year either.
Yes, I'm very, very unlikely that I will do a show next Wednesday night because what am I going to?
No one even knows what day it will be.
They
because
won't.
we'll be between Christmas and New Year, so it will just be
Exactly.
that it'll be that strange time of year. But
Yes.
have a wonderful Christmas.
You too. You too.
Um, see you in
Enjoy
20.
enjoy
I will.
whatever festivities you get up to.
Loads. I'll see you
Yeah.
in 2023.
Indeed. For all kinds of stuff. And
Fun and games.
for anyone in the chat, if you're still listening, make sure to like and subscribe and go and purchase Nadine's books.
Thank you.
The Jigsaw Man, The Binding Room, and The Killing List are all available
Thank
to be purchased. Those are all the right titles, right?
The Kill List is the last one, yeah, though,
The
but
Kill
those are
List.
the right titles.
Yeah.
You
Good.
did a good job.
Good.
And if you would like to set up a petition for Nadine Matheson to I've changed my mind to take over James Gunn's position at DC Studios, please feel free.
Get that petition going. And yeah, there we go. But anyway, have a
So,
good holiday, everyone.
I will.
And
You too.
we will see you in the new year. In the new year. Right.
Bye.